Chapter 456. Standing on the stage, Jianghu was looking at Dongbua Shuiying and drunk guest. That faint smile on his face was enough to make anyone feel that he was provoking them. Brother Dongbua, drunk guest did not provoke him earlier, but this Jianghu took the initiative to do so, 7th Mayu said from the side. And from the looks of it he's quite arrogant as well. Dongbua Shuiying nodded. Arrogance and arrogance were nothing. Those who were truly talented and powerful were all prideful to the core. On the surface, Dongbua Shuiying treated everyone with modesty, but deep down he was just as prideful. Dongbua Shuiying did not care about his opponent's arrogance. What he cared about was his opponent's strength. How powerful, Dongbua Shuiying thought to himself. That move just now seemed to be everywhere. Furthermore, it was so powerful that it could destroy an entire region. That deity ranked in the top 1,000 didn't even have the time to escape. I wonder what will happen if I fight him. Dongbua Shuiying was filled with anticipation. It's just that it's impossible for me to fight him in the arena battle. In the prefectural selections, for example, the top 10, it was impossible for them to kill each other. That was because the Kamsi prefecture wanted to select the strongest 100. He's provoking me, but it's a pity that I won't be able to fight him in the arena battle, Dongbua Shuiying said. It's impossible for you to fight him in the arena battle, but the final survival battle will determine your ranking. 7th Mayu laughed from the side. You took first place in the ranking battle. Don't let them surpass you in the final survival battle. Dongbua Shuiying laughed. It was no wonder that Jianghu was provoking him. It seemed like he was aiming for the survival battle. Following that, the battles became more and more intense as the battle progressed, as the disparity in strength between the participants became smaller and smaller. However, it was no longer as threatening as Jianghu and drunk guest had been to Dongbua Shuiying. Even if it was 7th Mayu. Although Dongbua Shuiying was shocked, he didn't feel too threatened. The main reason was that the fight had been too quick, and 7th Mayu had only used 2 moves before her opponent had admitted defeat. Thus, 7th Mayu's swordsmanship hadn't been fully displayed yet. After all, 7th Mayu did not specialize in instantaneous bursts of powerful killing moves. She was more proficient in prolonged battles. The top 500 have been decided. The first match of the second batch of the arena battles. Dongbua vs. Wu Yong. The second batch began, he had just entered the arena. Wu Yong shouted, "I admit defeat." Later on, when drunk guest stepped onto the stage, his opponent similarly shouted, "Surrender." When Jianghu stepped onto the stage it was the same. He immediately surrendered even before the fight began. In the first batch the top few had shocked the others. They all understood that the gap was too big and there was no hope. It was better for them to admit defeat. He didn't want to lose his life before he could even admit defeat. On the high platform the Kamsi prefecture master, Monarch Imo Shui, and the others were all watching the matches. Although there were more than 10 powerful existences, protector disciples and inner disciples participating, the most dazzling ones were the top 3. Dongbua, drunk guest, and Jianghu. For instance, Zhang Xiao was only ranked 27th in the ranking battles. Although his ranking wasn't bad, he couldn't compare to the top 3. That Jianghu didn't reveal his full strength during the ranking battles? The White Sand City Lord was slightly startled. He didn't use that secret skill during the ranking battles. King Ronghai nodded. It's just the ranking battles. This Jianghu is too confident, so he didn't use any of his killing moves. Even so, he still ranked 3rd. The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity chuckled. Now that he's discovered that there are 2 people ranked higher than him, he naturally has to reveal some of his moves. In my opinion, this Jianghu is the strongest one. Drunk guest is the personal disciple of a powerful existence, and his strength is similarly unfathomable. From the looks of it, he can grasp a grade 1 deity heart at any moment. On the contrary, this Dongbua is slightly weaker. Marshal Qin indifferently said, "You have some enmity with that Dongbua, so you're deliberately targeting him?" Targeting? The venomous Ying world deity sneered. Is he worthy? Venomous Ying, if Dongbua is number 1, then he is number 1. The White Sand City Lord laughed. No matter what you say, he'll still be number 1 in the ranking battles. Then do you dare to make a bet? I've already said that in the survival battles, this Dongbua definitely won't be number 1. He might not even be number 2. The venomous Ying world deity sneered. The White Sand City Lord shook his head. Bet? Why would I bet? The rules of the ranking battles and the survival battles are different, and nobody can predict the final rankings. It's normal for Dongbua to not be number 1. You're not confident? The venomous Ying world deity sneered. Are you confident? Do you dare say that drunk guest will definitely be number 1? or that Jianghu will definitely be number one. The White Sand City Lord retorted. The venomous Ying world deity was stunned. According to historical experience, as long as the difference in power between the top three was not too obvious, they would definitely be number one in the survival battles. Even the fourth, fifth, and sixth could be extremely proficient in the survival battles and rush to first place. Thus, the probability of any one of them being number one did not exceed 30%. Betting on who would be number one naturally meant that the chances of winning were very low. The White Sand City Lord was not willing to bet. The venomous Ying world deity was not willing to bet either. No matter how much you say, you still have no confidence against Dongbua. The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity shook her head as she looked at the arena. The White Sand City Lord stroked his beard. He could feel that the venomous Ying world deity was targeting him. He grinned. "Ah, that's fine. I've won quite a bit from my previous bet. Then I'll be the banker. Betting on Dongbua to be number one in the survival battles 1-1. Dongbua to be number two in the survival battles 1-2. Dongbua to be number three and beyond 1-5. The upper limit is 10 million deity crystals." What boldness. Old brother White Sand, you're really daring. You're that confident? Marshal Qin, King Ronghai, the emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace, the Ink Cloud City Lord, and the venomous Ying world deity all looked at the White Sand City Lord. This bet was too confident. If Dongbua was number one, the odds would be 1-1. This meant that no matter how much others bet, they would still have to pay the same amount. The moment they lost, they would lose everything. Thus, no one would be foolish enough to bet on him. The odds for number 2, 1-2, was considered normal. The odds for number 3 and beyond, 1-5, were astonishing. White Sand, you're just sending yourself to death. The venomous Ying world deity sneered. Why are you so confident? The bet is right here. If you have the ability, then go ahead and bet. The White Sand City Lord looked at her. Rest assured, I'll satisfy you. The venomous Ying world deity had been suppressed during the banquet, and she had long been in a bad mood. Naturally, she would take this chance to earn some money. Ah, old brother White Sand, since you're opening such a bet, we'll have to take this chance to act. King Ronghai laughed. If Dongbua is number 2, I'll bet 5 million deity crystals. If Dongbua is number 3 and beyond, I'll bet 5 million deity crystals as well. TSK. If he's number 2, I'll break even. If he's number 3 and beyond, I'll earn 15 million deity crystals. As long as he's not number 1, I won't lose anything. Who said that Ronghai's brain isn't good? The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed. As long as he's not number 1, he won't lose anything. In fact, he might even earn a lot. Brother White Sand, you've earned quite a bit before. I'll do the same as Brother Ronghai. Me too. Marshal Qin was all smiles. Me too. The emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace stood by the side. The White Sand City Lord glared. You guys are truly ruthless. The 4 of them placed the same bet. Second, 5 million deity crystals. Third and beyond, 5 million deity crystals. You guys are too careful. I'll bet on the last one. Third or even lower. The venomous Ying world deity sneered. 10 million deity crystals. If you lose, you have to pay me 50 million deity crystals. The upper limit was 10 million deity crystals. The venomous Ying world deity placed all her bets on the last one. Don't be a sore loser when the time comes. The venomous Ying world deity sneered. Even a stage 3 world deity would feel the pinch if they had to fork out 50 million deity crystals. Dongbua is number 1. I'll kill them all. The White Sand City Lord shot a glance at the venomous Ying world deity before turning to the others. Last time I killed them all. This time it might be the same. The survival battle. The rules are different. It's hard to say. The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed. The few of them had all seen the ranking battles, and they all believed that while Dongbua Shuang specialized in survival battles, he was not the best. Monarch Mo Shuer and the Calm Sea Prefecture Master could only laugh at this scene. I'm afraid that the White Sand City Lord will suffer a loss this time, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master transmitted. They've all misjudged him. Monarch Mo Shuer nodded. The first 2 rounds of the arena battles came to an end, and the top 250 deities were chosen. The arena battles had resulted in 96 deity experts dying on the arena. The arena battles have come to an end. 3 years from now, the final survival battle will be held. The final 100 deities will represent the Calm Sea Prefecture to the Bloodshed God Palace. The emissary announced. Chapter 457. The arena battles came to an end. Under the order of the legionnaires, the spectators began to leave. The white-haired, white-robed, white-browed Jiao stood up and glanced at Dongbu Shuiying and drunk guest before leaving with a smile. He seems very confident. 7th Mei Yu and Dongbu Shuiying walked side by side. Is he confident that he can beat you and drunk guest? When the survival battles are over and the rankings are out, everything will be revealed. Dongbu Shuiying said calmly. Although Jiao seemed to be provoking him, Dongbu Shuiying remained calm. He did not place much importance on first place. Wouldn't it be fine as long as he could participate in the Bloodshed God Palace battle? He would wait until he reached the Bloodshed God Palace before exerting his strength. As for the survival battles, there was no need to put in too much effort. He had only cultivated for 2,000 years, so what was there to compete with someone like Jiao, who had cultivated for more than 5 million years? The crowd dispersed. Dongbu Shuiying quickly met up with Jing Qiu and the rest. Patrol Master Guan and the rest also came to congratulate them on the way, and they soon returned to their cave abode. Just as he entered the cave, he sat down and poured himself some tea. Dongbu. A voice came from outside. Dongbu Shuiying hurriedly stood up and went to the door to welcome him. When the door opened, a chubby white-robed man stood outside, the White Sand City Lord. Big brother, why are you here? Dongbu Shuiying was surprised. Please come in, come in. The White Sand City Lord walked in with a smile. When he saw Jing Qiu, he said, Sister-in-law, I have some matters to discuss with Dongbu. You don't have to worry about us. Yes, big brother. Jing Qiu smiled and walked to the side. Dongbu. The White Sand City Lord pulled Dongbu Shuiying to the side and sat down. He picked up a cup of tea from the table and took a sip before saying, Do you remember what I told you before? I have a gift for you after the prefecture battles are over? Yes. Dongbu Shuiying nodded. The White Sand City Lord chuckled. Although the prefecture capital battle has yet to end, you will definitely be able to participate in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. So, it doesn't make a difference whether you give it to me now or in the future. Take a look. As he spoke, he flipped his hand and a dark brown crystal bottle appeared. He pulled out the stopper. Immediately, a faint aroma filled the air. This is? Dongbu Shuiying was taken aback, but he already knew what it was. This was a rare treasure of the God world, the stone flower cold cloud dew. The value of this bottle was estimated to be around 2 million deity crystals. This left Dongbu Shuiying speechless. One must know that the gift given by the second prince was only worth 100,000 God crystals. 2 million divine crystals. This was more than all the treasures of an ordinary stage 1 world deity. Although he was the master of Crimson Rock Mountain and didn't care about this, his big brother was too generous. This big brother of his was powerful, but why was he so generous? This is the stone flower cold cloud dew. You might not have heard of it, but you'll know in the future. The White Sand City Lord smiled. Take it. Although it's a treasure, it's nothing to me. I've heard of it before. It's worth 2 million deity crystals, right? Dongbu Shuiying asked. The White Sand City Lord was startled. You had heard of it? A deity actually knew of the stone flower cold cloud dew? He even knew the approximate price? It's too expensive. I can't accept it, Dongbu Shuiying said. Haha, during your ranking battle, the Kamsi Prefecture Master, Monarch Imo Shui, and the others were all interested and made a bet. I bet on you and in the end I won. The White Sand City Lord smiled proudly. Although the Kamsi Prefecture Master and Monarch Imo Shui didn't care about it, the value of the treasures they took out was far above this bottle of stone flower cold cloud dew. Thus I've already earned a lot. Yours is nothing. In a bet there are always wins and losses. Big brother being able to win is due to big brother's strength. Dongbu Shuiying added, This is truly too expensive. The White Sand City Lord was speechless. He had a straightforward nature and sometimes he would act according to his instincts. Back then, he had secretly eaten His Majesty Bloodblade's World Sandheart fruit because he desired to eat it. It was only after eating it that he became afraid. He felt that he had earned too much from his previous bet on Dongbu Shuiying. Taking out a little to give to his brother was nothing. You're really? The White Sand City Lord helplessly said, I won't hide it from you. During the arena battles, the venomous Ying world deity kept targeting me, so I set up a bet. I bet on your ranking in the survival battle. If you can get first place, I'll kill you all. If you can get second place, then it's fine. But if you can get third or lower, then I'll be in deep trouble. If it was third or lower, the venomous Ying world deity would earn 40 million deity crystals, while King Rong Hai and the other 3 would each earn 15 million deity crystals. The 5 of them added up to a total of 100 million deity crystals. This was a huge pressure on the White Sand City Lord. Ah. Dongbu Shuang was speechless. Big brother, is there a need for this? I just can't stand the sight of that venomous Ying. The White Sand City Lord said, how delightful it is to do things according to your heart. Alright, hurry up and use it. With the stone flower cold cloud dew, you might even be able to increase your strength over the next 3 years. Let's not talk anymore. I'm leaving. Ai. Dongbu Shuang still wanted to shout. However, the White Sand City Lord had already disappeared into the horizon with a flash. Dongbu Shuang looked at the dark brown crystal bottle on the table and muttered, I didn't think I'd have to use it so soon. Crimson Rock Mountain also contained many rare treasures. Dongbu Shuang had originally planned to temper himself during the Bloodshed God Palace's myriad flower feast and then become a disciple of a powerful existence. After receiving the guidance of a powerful existence, he would then bitterly comprehend and reach a bottleneck. He would then return to his hometown and consume some rare treasures at Crimson Rock Mountain. Dongbu Shuang could feel that his progress in the Black Hole Deity Heart was very slow, but at the very least he was making some progress in his comprehension. His secret skill was also slowly being perfected. Using it now would be a waste. Since Big Brother White Sand has set up such a huge bet, I naturally have to do my best. Dongbu Shuang picked up the dark brown crystal bottle. During the ranking battle, Dongbu Shuang had gone all out, but it could not be considered as him going all out. Originally, during the survival battle, Dongbu Shuang was not willing to go all out. But now he had changed his mind. Even if he had to help White Sand win the bet, he had to go all out. Goo. Within the cultivation room, Shuang grabbed the brownish-black crystal bottle and drank 2 mouthfuls of it. The cool feeling spread throughout his body, and his soul became much more ethereal. Shui Ying's thinking and deduction speed was originally very fast, but at this moment as he looked around him, everything around him, including time and space, was under his observation. His mind was constantly flashing with inspiration, and many puzzles were being deduced at an extremely high efficiency, allowing him to quickly understand them. Dongbu Shuang had always felt that rare treasures should only be used at crucial moments. But since he was helping Big Brother White Sand, he might as well use it. One secret skill after another. Dongbu Shuang continued to perfect it. His true body, far away in his hometown, was also helping to perfect the secret skill. No matter what. In the survival battle, other than not using a grade 1 deity heart, he had to go all out. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. The Bloodshed God Palace's myriad flower feast. The final survival battle of the Calm Sea Prefecture was about to begin. In this final survival battle, the top 100 would be chosen from the 250 talented deities to be sent to the Bloodshed God Palace. Although the previous arena battles were not bad, the strongest few were not able to display their true strength. They all ended in 1 or 2 moves and some even admitted defeat. Right. Especially the top 3, they won too quickly. They will definitely put in more effort in this survival battle. And it will be open to the public so we can watch. Take a good look at the true peak of the deities and see what kind of strength they can display. Chariots were being pulled in the sky, flying across the sky. Many army soldiers rushed over from all directions, and many ordinary deities walked on the ground, not daring to fly. But they were all looking forward to it. Many of them came to watch the battle, and just the teleportation fee alone was very high. But for a grand event that they might only be able to see once or twice in their lifetime, they were willing to give it their all. It was true that they could only see it once or twice in their lifetime. Because the deity world was extremely cruel, many deities died early in the battles. For example, most of the deities of the Xia people had died early on. As more and more deities rushed over to watch, the army soldiers in charge of maintaining order began to shout. Anyone who dared to break the order would be beaten. After a long time, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master, Monarch Mo Shui, and the rest arrived one by one. Dongbu Shuang and the other 250 deities also arrived. Phew. Under the gazes of the countless deities, the emissary waved his hand, and streams of light flew into the sky. 250 streams of light flew high into the sky, then stopped. They were all giant spheres. A total of 250 spheres floated in the sky, some high, some low. Prefecture Master, can the survival battle begin? The emissary asked. Yes. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded. Only then did the emissary turn around and look at the countless deities in front of him. In a clear voice he said, during the myriad flower feast, the Calm Sea Prefecture will select the final 100 deities to enter the Bloodshed God Palace. The survival battle is very simple. The longer you survive in the cage, the higher your ranking will be. The one who survives the longest will be ranked first. Go on in. He waved his hand. An invisible force immediately enveloped everyone below, sweeping them up. Dongbua Shuiying, 7th Meiyu, and the rest were all sent flying uncontrollably into the sky, each of them flying towards a spherical cage. Chapter 458. The Spherical Cage. Dongbua Shuiying could only watch as the cage grew larger and larger in his field of vision. Finally, his body collided with the cage and he easily entered it. Dongbua Shuiying observed the cage carefully. It was about 5,000 kilometers wide, and within that area was a flat ground with countless black streams of light moving about. This survival battle is really open to everyone. Everyone can see it clearly. Shuiying looked outside through the transparent walls of the cage. With a glance, he could see the countless spectators gathered below, as well as the many spherical cages of various heights. Every single one of these cages contained a deity expert overflowing with talent. There is no need to explain the rules of the survival battle. On the high platform below, the emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace announced, "If you can't hold on, give up as soon as possible. Don't throw your life away. The last 100 survivors will be the top 100 in the survival battle. Begin," the emissary said coldly. Buzz, the black streams of light within each of the more than 200 spherical cages in the sky began to condense into a monster. The countless spectators below watched attentively, paying close attention to the top 10, especially the most famous ones, Dongbua, Drunk Guest, and Jiushi. After all, it was rare to encounter such a deity expert. Dongbua Shuiying calmly stood on the flat ground within the cage, his right hand holding a spear. At this moment, the black streams of light on the ground began to converge, and beast-like monsters began to appear in different locations. Every single one of them was covered in black scales, and some were land beasts while others were flying beasts. 10 beasts appeared in different locations within the cage, and their gazes fell on Dongbua Shuiying the moment they appeared. Hiss, ho, the beasts exchanged glances and communicated with each other. Although they were all form-type life forms, they possessed considerable intelligence. It must be known that the puppets refined by transcendence all possessed intelligence. Although form-type life forms formed faster, this cage had been personally refined by a stage 4 world deity for the Bloodshed God Palace's myriad flower feast. The 10 beasts were in different locations, but none of them were in a hurry to attack. "You won't make a move, but I can't drag this on." Dongbua Shuiying shook his head, and with a thought, a starry blue-robed Dongbua Shuiying appeared out of thin air, wielding a fiery red spear. With a flick of his hand, the spear streaked across the sky, causing the surrounding darkness to collapse. With lightning speed, the spear struck a black-scaled beast, sending it tumbling backwards. Blood seeped out of its mouth and nose, but this kind of injury was nothing to it. What? Shuiying was startled. The time immemorial body strength was used to display the chaotic suppression, yet it still couldn't kill it? And this is only the beginning of the survival battle. What was a battle for survival? In the battle for survival, a mutated beast would be born every second. Beasts would be born continuously. If the speed of killing couldn't keep up with the rate at which exotic beasts were born, it would cause the number of exotic beasts to increase. And the newly born exotic beasts would also become stronger and stronger, so the situation would only worsen. The best way was to kill as many as possible. Kill with all your might. Break. With a thought, Dongbua Shuiying activated his spear technique. The distant mirage body once again used its spear technique, but this time, it used the great chaotic true force. This was already the maximum power that Dongbua Shuiying could unleash. Everywhere the spear passed, everything would collapse into darkness. With a pang, the spear swept across the black-scaled exotic beasts, causing them to explode and turn back into black energy that returned to the ground. And here I was wondering how strong my body would be. Shuiying laughed. His true body stood there, not moving at all. His mirage body was rapidly traversing through the various locations, rapidly killing the beasts. In a single breath, all 10 mutated beasts were swept clean. After a short rest, the black energy on the ground once again gathered to form a new black-scaled exotic beast. Although its strength had increased slightly, it was still killed with a single sweep of the spear. Next he had to wait for a breath's time. Thus, Dongbua Shuiying appeared to be very relaxed. He waited leisurely for a breath's time, then his mirage body would kill his opponent with a single move. Dongbua, Drunk Guest, and Jiushi. The three of them are really relaxed. The countless spectators below could clearly see the battle taking place in each of the spherical cages. Dongbua is using his mirage body, which has the same strength as his main body. Moreover, even if it is destroyed, it can instantly reform again. It's a very powerful technique. Donghua's strength is too strong. These exotic beasts are much stronger than the fierce shaman warrior, but in front of Donghua, they were all killed with a single sweep of the spear without being able to resist at all. Drunk Guest is also very powerful. He just stood there without moving. With just a swing of his sword, the sword light swept across thousands of miles, and those black-scaled exotic beasts were all sliced into pieces. Jianghu didn't even use a weapon. With just a swing of his palm, a black-scaled exotic beast was smashed into pieces. The spectators were all amazed. They were very clear that it was not that the exotic beasts were weak, but rather that Donghua and the other two were too strong. This was because even among the experts ranked in the top 250, those who were slightly behind were having a hard time fighting. The defense of the black-scaled exotic beasts was truly too strong, and killing one of them was extremely strenuous. Ordinary low-level world deities would only be able to injure the black-scaled exotic beasts, and they would have to go all out just to barely kill one. I admit defeat. Just the time it took to brew a cup of tea had passed since the start of the survival battle, and a deity expert had already admitted defeat. He was directly expelled into the air. He glanced around and saw that all the other deities in the cages were still fighting. He was the first to give up. Sigh. The burly man shook his head and sighed. The defense of the black-scaled exotic beasts is too strong. Killing them is too difficult, and their numbers are only increasing. If they surround us, I really can't hold on. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Very quickly, more and more people admitted defeat. Everyone knew that the majority of them were still fighting, and they could no longer hold on. Even if they did, it would be impossible for them to remain in the top 100. Thus, survival was naturally more important. Finally, a voice reverberated throughout the world. 200 left. The Bloodshed God Palace's emissary announced. Many of the deities fighting in the spherical cages felt helpless. 200 left? It would be too difficult for them to reach the top 100. 190. 180. The Bloodshed God Palace's emissary would shout out every once in a while. In truth, even if he didn't announce it publicly, the countless spectators below could still see the situation and know how many deities were left. They could also inform their friends and companions who were fighting. 170. 160. The deities gave up one by one. Not a single one of them had died. Since they were still far from the top 100, everyone felt that they could not hold on any longer, so they decided to give up. As the number of deities continued to decrease, 110. Following the Bloodshed God Palace's emissary's voice, the deities who were still fighting felt their hearts tighten. Soon, another 10 would be eliminated and only 100 would be left. At the final moment, those who can make it to the top 100 will head to the Bloodshed God Palace. Of course, you all have to take care of your lives. The Bloodshed God Palace's emissary watched everything coldly. At this moment, the death rate was the highest. The deities who were already feeling the strain were even more frantic. The top 100. There was a fundamental difference between the top 100 and the top 101. The top 100 would be able to head to the Bloodshed God Palace. At that time, their future would be completely different. They were already fighting with their lives on the line. 109. The Bloodshed God Palace's emissary had personally witnessed a deity expert being torn to shreds by the black-scaled mutated beasts. He was already used to it. At this final moment, the death rate was extremely high. Chapter 459. 108. 107. 106. Following the resounding voice of the emissary, quite a few deity experts were doing their best to hold on. Actually, there was a gap of 30 ranks between the 80th and the 110th. However, the gap in combat power was not that big. Many deity experts had already reached a point where it was extremely strenuous, and they were doing their best to stall for time. Some relied on speed, some relied on combat, and some relied on illusions. However, those mutated beasts were similarly moving through the void, walking in the shadows and attacking in large groups. 103. 102. Soon. Hold on. We have to hold on. Many deity experts were already injured. 100 has been born. The voice of the emissary was finally filled with joy. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. When the emissary announced the birth of the top 100, those deity experts who were barely holding on immediately admitted defeat and were expelled from the spherical cage. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 deity experts had come out. However, those who came out at the last moment all revealed looks of joy. That was because they had all held on. Just a bit more, just a bit more. That was the white-haired old man ranked 101. His body had been split into two and condensed in midair, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness. Why did I not hold on just a bit more? I lost. I did not enter the top 100. There were quite a few who had failed by a bit, and they were all filled with regret. As for those who had succeeded in landing, they were all filled with joy. Congratulations, congratulations. Ha, brotherly, when the time comes, we will head to the Bloodshed God Palace together. The Bloodshed God Palace battle is the safest. If you are lucky, you can even become a disciple of a powerful existence. Those who were about to participate in the Bloodshed God Palace battle were all very happy. Of the Starfield selections, the Prefecture City selections, and the Bloodshed God Palace battle, the Bloodshed God Palace battle was the safest. It was impossible for any casualties to occur. Furthermore, there were many opportunities to participate in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Becoming a disciple of a powerful existence? Becoming a disciple of a Stage 4 world deity? Obtaining a high rank in the Bloodshed God Palace? Entering the Bloodshed Tavern? Participating in the Bloodshed God Palace battle represented one's identity. Even if one was lacking, one could directly obtain the 10th rank in the Bloodshed God Palace. What did the 10th level represent? For example, the generals of the Garrison Legion and the Patrol Legion were usually only at the 9th grade. 10th tier, at the very least, he was a deputy general. Even in a rank 3 legion he was only second to one person. On the high platform, Monarch Mo Shui and the Calm Sea Prefecture Master both had smiles on their faces. The top 100 from the Calm Sea Prefecture who will be heading to the Bloodshed God Palace this time has been decided. Monarch Mo Shui stroked his snow-white beard and chuckled. Seems like it's not bad. That brat called Drunk Guest. His sword technique already has the charm of the Split Heaven Deity Heart. With his self-created sword technique reaching this stage, I estimate that he'll be able to grasp the Grade 1 Deity Heart, Split Heaven Deity Heart, within 1 or 2 days or at most 1,000 years. As expected of Duke Yu's personal disciple. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded in praise. You've only cultivated for 20,000 years, yet your talent is already not bad. There was still a difference between a Grade 1 Deity Heart in 10,000 years and a Grade 1 Deity Heart in 20,000 years. But at least the gap between them wasn't too big. That Donghua isn't bad either, Monarch Mo Shui said. But he seems to have learned quite a variety of things with at least 4 Grade 2 Deity Hearts. Of which, his Star Deity Heart and Mirage Deity Heart seem to have reached the peak of the Deity Realm, with the Great Chaotic True Force and Time Immemorial Body both reaching the peak of the Deity Realm. His Extreme Piercing Deity Heart and Space Deity Heart seem to be slightly weaker. But no matter which one it is, they're still somewhat lacking compared to that Drunk Guest brat. He's still quite a distance away from grasping a Grade 1 Deity Heart. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded in agreement. That Joshi is the strongest. Monarch Mo Shui laughed. It's a pity that he's cultivated for close to 6 million years. That's too long. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded. In terms of strength, Joshi is the strongest. But in the eyes of powerful existences, I'm afraid that Donghua is still the one they like the most. Donghua is too young. He's only cultivated for 2,000 years, yet he's already reached such a high level in 4 Grade 2 Deity Hearts. Furthermore, one could see with a single glance that the secret skill he used had some laughable mistakes. He definitely hasn't received any pointers from a powerful existence, or even a Stage 4 world deity. Without any pointers, he cultivated for 2,000 years and reached such a high level in 4 Grade 2 Deity Hearts. Monarch Mo Shui nodded. The moment he receives pointers, he'll definitely improve greatly. If I were to accept a disciple, I'd definitely choose Donghua. Naturally. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded. Joshi is the strongest, while Donghua has the highest potential. What do you think of the top 3 in this survival battle? Monarch Mo Shui asked. Joshi is undoubtedly the strongest, followed by Drunk Guest and Donghua. Drunk Guest's offensive power is stronger, and his secret skill is more perfect. He's only slightly weaker when it comes to survival. Donghua's mastery is more complex and he's good at survival, but his offensive power is slightly weaker. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master said. Drunk Guest should be the second, and Donghua should be the third. Monarch Mo Shui nodded in agreement. With their insight, they could see many things from the secret skills displayed, and they could determine that Donghua Shuiying had not received any pointers from a powerful existence. Naturally, it was easy for them to deduce the outcome of the battle. Ah. Monarch Imo Shui laughed. I agree with you, but that little rat who steals food. I'm afraid he's going to lose miserably this time. The Kamsi Prefecture master laughed as well. That little rat. Last time he killed everyone and earned all the treasures we took out. This time he wants to kill everyone, but it's a pity he's going to lose all of them. The White Sand City Lord, Marshal Qin, Ink Cloud City Lord, Venomous Ing World Deity, King Rong Hai, and the Bloodshed God Palace Emissary were completely unaware of the conversation between Monarch Imo Shui and the Kamsi Prefecture Master. The 6 of them were rather excited as they watched the battle. After all, this involved a huge gamble. 30 remaining. The Bloodshed God Palace Emissary shouted. The Bloodshed God Palace Emissary said loudly before turning to his companion beside him. "Oh brother White Sand, did you see that? How formidable is Jioshi's strength. Drunk Guest's sword techniques are also very formidable. After all, he is the personal disciple of Gongyu, and after being trained by Gongyu, TSK. Just this sword technique's secret skill alone is enough to surpass Donghua. Donghua will most likely end up in 3rd place." The yellow-robed Venomous Ing World Deity felt even more confident as she watched the battle unfold in the spherical cage. She glanced at the White Sand City Lord and said, "Big brother White Sand, remember 1/5 odds. Don't be complacent until the very end." The White Sand City Lord stroked his beard, though his heart was faintly trembling. Old brother Donghua is still too young. It seems he'll be the first to lose. Drunk Guest was garbed in a green robe. He walked within the cage while wielding a sword in one hand. Wah! As he walked, his entire body was akin to a sword that could split the heavens and earth apart, piercing through everything in an instant. Every step he took brought him to the side of a mutated beast. With a swing of his sword, he sliced the beast in half. His sword techniques were too simple. Regardless of whether it was a chop, a slice, a horizontal slice, or a slash, they all seemed to be extremely simple, yet they possessed a might that could split the heavens and earth apart. There was no way to block them. His sword techniques seemed to be extremely simple, yet they were also extremely perfect. Clearly, he had already displayed the laws of profound mysteries to the pinnacle, and he could grasp a true grade 1 deity heart at any time. A white-robed, white-haired man with white eyebrows fluttering in the wind. His long, narrow eyes contained a trace of indifference and arrogance. Countless white-robed, white-haired men appeared within the spherical cage. He stood at every corner of the cage, and as soon as a mutated beast appeared, all of his clones would send out a palm strike, directly shattering the beast into pieces. Now there were less than 30 left, yet he could still kill them all in one move. At this point, only Drunk Guest and Jiyoshi were still capable of killing them in one move. If Shuiying had used his strongest and most penetrative move, the Star Meteor Annihilation, he might have been able to kill his opponent in a single move. However, he was more focused on using his chaotic suppression while barely matching it with some of his other spear techniques. He was clearly treating this survival battle as a rare opportunity to temper himself. He was working hard to hone his chaotic suppression secret skill so that he could grasp the chaotic deity heart as soon as possible. With his spear techniques, he would then use the extreme piercing secret skill, Stellaris, to kill the mutated beasts. The secret skill, Stellaris, combined with the great chaotic true force, had an extremely high penetrative power, capable of piercing through the mutated beasts. Occasionally he would use the Star Meteor Annihilation. There are still more than 20? Donghua Shuiying sighed inwardly. I really can't look down on them. Chapter 460. For Big Brother White Sand's bet, I have to give it my all. Although Donghua Shuiying was training his secret art, he was also trying to kill the black-scaled mutated beasts as fast as he could. Whenever one appeared, he would kill it immediately. These mutated beasts are getting stronger and stronger. My other secret arts are no longer effective against them. I have to use Star Meteor Annihilation. Even his extreme piercing secret art, Star Cluster, was barely able to pierce a hole. His chaotic suppression could only cause them to vomit blood. However, these injuries were too light. It would probably take him 2 to 3 breaths of time to kill a mutated beast with his mirage body. Too slow. He had to rely on Star Meteor Annihilation. Donghua Shuiying used his spear techniques and Star Meteor Annihilation to barely maintain his efficiency. Could it be that I can't enter the top 20? Zhang Zhao's ugly face was filled with unwillingness. His figure was like a ghost as he circled around a black-scaled mutated beast. 2 demonic blood-colored saber lights slashed at its body, barely leaving a small wound. However, these small wounds were instantly healed. No matter how he attacked, he could no longer kill another mutated beast. Every breath of time, another mutated beast would appear. Currently there were a total of 3 mutated beasts surrounding him. Zhang Xiao was having a hard time dealing with them. Master, there are still 26 of them inside. Zhang Xiao received a message from his servant. However, he was unwilling to give up. During the ranking battle he was ranked 27th, which made him very proud. Thus he was even more desperate this time. 4 mutated beasts. 5 mutated beasts. All of them had come to surround him. Zhang Xiao was like a stray dog that had lost its master. He desperately tried to escape. However, these mutated beasts were all proficient in different laws of profound mysteries. They could travel through the void and even use hallucinatory techniques to surround him. Master, there are still 25 left. I admit defeat. Zhang Xiao finally gave up resisting. So, his entire body was expelled from the spherical cage. In midair, a wound could be seen on his chest. The wound had already healed. He raised his head and looked at the floating spherical cages around him. This time I've already risked my life, but I'm only ranked 25th. There are indeed many experts within the Kamsi prefecture, and even though I'm an inner disciple of a powerful existence, I'm nothing much. I'm not even in the top 10. He descended. Countless spectators were extremely excited at this moment, and they were all discussing spiritedly. Because the further they went, the more exciting it would be. Those at the very front were all fighting with their lives on the line. 20, the emissary said calmly. 10. The Bloodshed God Palace's emissary's voice was clearly much louder, and it reverberated throughout the world like a clap of thunder. 9. At this moment, 7th Meiyu was in a frenzied state. Inside the cage, the petals fluttered and floated around the entire spherical cage. When they came into contact with the black-scaled exotic beasts, they exploded with a powerful force. As for the white-robed 7th Meiyu, his swordsmanship was incomparably elegant. His figure was so fast that he left behind a series of afterimages. Each of these afterimages circled around a mutated beast, and the sword light landed on the mutated beast again and again. As the power of the sword light increased, its power grew stronger and stronger. It was unknown how many swords had fallen into the countless sword lights. It was as if the mutated beast had been trapped in a trap, unable to break free no matter how hard it struggled. Finally, the body of the mutated beast was sliced apart and dissipated. However, the number of mutated beasts around him had already increased to 3, and in just a breath's time there were 4. Looks like I can't hold on any longer. 7th Meiyu used her movement technique to avoid the other mutated beasts and focus on one. However, as the number of mutated beasts increased, it became more and more difficult for him to fight. He was even forced to defend himself and was unable to kill any more mutated beasts. Very quickly, 5 mutated beasts surrounded 7th Meiyu, each of them extremely powerful. I admit defeat. 7th Meiyu finally admitted defeat. When he admitted defeat, he was ranked 7th in this survival battle. Her Highness Meiyu's movement technique is extremely powerful, giving her an advantage in this survival battle. Her sword technique is a perfect set of secret techniques. She is also proficient in both escaping and defending. The Ink Cloud City Lord raised his head to look at 7th Meiyu, who had already been expelled from the cage, as well as the 6 other ball-shaped cages that were still fighting. To be ranked 7th, that's not bad. Her Highness Meiyu tends to be more balanced, and her killing moves are slightly weaker, the emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace commented with a smile. Old Brother White Sand, the situation is becoming more and more obvious. I'm afraid that you're going to lose miserably in this gamble, King Ronghai teased. Old Brother White Sand, if you don't have enough treasures, I can postpone the 15 million deity crystals you lost to me. Shut your mouth. The White Sand City Lord nervously stroked his beard as he stared at the 3 strongest ball-shaped cages that were still fighting. It's not the end yet. Don't be too happy. Even an idiot can see that Donghua is about to die. The yellow-robed venomous Ing-world deity sneered. Big Brother White Sand, you've lost a total of 100 million deity crystals with the few of us added together. Marshal Qin looked up and nodded lightly. Donghua should be 3rd, Drunk Guest 2nd, and Jiushi 1st. This could be seen from the battle scene. Currently there were 6 people still fighting, and the other 3 were already in a difficult situation and could give up at any moment. Donghua, Drunk Guest, and Jiushi could still hold on for a while longer. However, Donghua's situation was the most dangerous. He was currently relying on his mirage body to block the attacks, fleeing and fighting at the same time. In reality, it was very difficult for even his star meteor annihilation to kill a single mutated beast. At most, it could injure them. Drunk Guest was dressed in azure robes and wielding a sword with a single hand. His figure seemed to tear apart the world as he walked, and every single one of his sword strikes seemed capable of splitting the world apart. But now, every single one of the strange beasts was very powerful. Even Drunk Guest would need 2 breaths of time to kill a strange beast. Very soon, the number of mutated beasts in the cages had reached 2. It was destined that there would be even more. But at the very least, he could still kill more mutated beasts. Jianghu was still the most relaxed one. He was dressed in white robes and had white hair. His white eyebrows fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were cold and sharp. His silhouettes were scattered throughout the cage, and countless silhouettes were waving their hands at the same time. Besieging one mutated beast, the current black-scaled mutated beast was already very powerful. The black-scaled mutated beast roared and attacked Jianghu. However, the countless silhouettes of Jianghu were easily destroyed even if they were attacked. Then the silhouettes of Jianghu would appear in another area. The number of silhouettes of Jianghu was forever innumerable. They would always wave their palms and hack at the same time. The besieged area would be directly destroyed, but the black-scaled mutated beast would only be injured. Normally, it would take multiple simultaneous attacks before a black-scaled mutated beast would finally dissipate. However, at the very least he could still kill one mutated beast in a single breath of time. Therefore, there would always be only one black-scaled mutated beast in the cage. Jianghu should be able to hold on for a while longer. He is the most relaxed compared to the others. The speed at which Drunk Guest kills the mutated beasts can no longer keep up with the rate at which the mutated beasts are born. It won't be long before he loses. Dong Bo can no longer kill the black-scaled mutated beasts, and there are already 2 mutated beasts in his cage. He will most likely be the first to fall, the Ink Cloud City Lord evaluated. The yellow-robed venomous Ing World deity was even more pleased. Big Brother White Sand, you will definitely lose. He won't be able to turn the tables. It doesn't matter how strong Dong Bo's defenses are. The moment he is captured alive by the mutated beasts, he will be thrown out of the cage. They all watched on. The White Sand City Lord watched on silently. He stared upward, hoping for a miracle to happen. However, deep in his heart he felt regret. Who asked you to be so insolent? Who asked you to be so hot-headed? You thought that you would do it again after earning so much last time? In the end, Brother Dong Bo has only cultivated for around 2,000 years. His cultivation time is too short, and he is at a disadvantage in this aspect. Hurry up and watch. Monarch Mo Shui laughed as he spoke to the Calm Sea Prefecture Master beside him. Look at the expression of that rat. If he loses 100 million deity crystals, his heart will ache. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master shook his head with a smile. His losses are truly disastrous. Within Dongbo Shui Ying's spherical cage. At this moment, there were already 2 black-scaled mutated beasts. 2 starry blue-robed Dongbo Shui Ying were fleeing while simultaneously attacking a black-scaled mutated beast. His star meteor annihilation was barely able to pierce a bloody hole through the mutated beast's scales before being blocked by its muscles. Such an injury was not enough to claim the life of a mutated beast. I can't allow the number of mutated beasts to increase. Dongbo Shuang glanced outside. Through the walls of the cage, he could see that there were 2 other spherical cages where Drunk Guest and Jianghu were still fighting. I have to give it my all. Dongbo Shuang thought. Suddenly, 4 starry blue-robed youths appeared out of thin air on the vast dark land of the cage. That's right, 4. These 4 starry blue-robed youths each wielded a spear and were frantically attacking a black-scaled mutated beast. Bo, bo, bo. All 4 of them used their star meteor annihilation, causing the surrounding dark stars to expand and collapse into a single point. Bloody holes appeared on the black-scaled mutated beast's body, causing it to howl in pain. However, after the 4 Dongbo Shui Yings unleashed tens of spear strikes, the scales on the black-scaled mutated beast's back had long since been completely torn apart, revealing its bones. The 4 Dongbo Shui Yings all used their chaotic suppression, furiously hacking downwards. Without the protection of the black scales, the black-scaled mutated beast's body exploded. Their strongest attacks landed on the bones on the black-scaled mutated beast's back, causing its body to explode. How powerful were the 4 Dongbo Shui Ying's attacks? I really don't want to use this secret technique, Dongbo Shui Ying muttered to himself. Mirage secret technique, condensing reality. Back at Crimson Rock Mountain, Dongbo Shui Ying had created this technique when he was only at the stage 3 realm of the true meaning of mirage. After becoming a world deity after comprehending the Grade 1 deity heart, the world deity heart, Dongbua Shuiying had comprehended several secret techniques of the world deity heart, including the world true body secret technique. With a single thought he could form 8 world true bodies at the same time. If he did not use the complete profound mysteries of the world deity heart and mainly relied on the profound mysteries of mirage, even if he was a world deity with the world deity heart, Dongbua Shuiying could only perfect the condensing reality to the point of forming 3 mirage bodies. First becoming a world deity and then focusing on the condensing reality would only allow him to form 3 bodies. If he wanted more, then he would have to use the complete profound mysteries of the world deity heart. Thus, Dongbua Shuiying felt that this was bullying. After all, the combined might of 4 was more than double that of 2. Mirage secret technique? This brat? On the high platform, even the Calm Sea Prefecture Master and Monarch Mo Shui jumped in fright. The White Sand City Lord, Ink Cloud City Lord, Venomous Ing World Deity, King Rong Hai Marshal Qin, and the emissary were all shocked as well. For bodies? Every single one of them could display the same combat power as the true body? The Mirage secret technique can be displayed to such an extent? The Calm Sea Prefecture Master was incomparably shocked. Truly formidable. The World True Body secret technique created by a world deity with the world deity heart should at most be able to form 9 world true bodies. By relying on the Mirage secret technique, he can form a total of 3 Mirage bodies. His attainments in the Mirage have already reached an astonishing level. His attainments in the Mirage deity heart are even higher than his star deity heart. Monarch Mo Shui sighed in admiration. His star deity heart will most likely need a period of time to evolve into the chaotic deity heart. But the Mirage deity heart will most likely evolve into the world deity heart at any moment. Emin, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded. We've misjudged him. So his strongest aspect is the Mirage deity heart. My head is a little tired, so I'll only take one night today. Star. Chapter 461. Within the spherical cages high up in the sky, only 3 were still battling. They were none other than Dongbua Drunk Guest and Jiao Shi. Previously, Dongbua Shuiying was already having a hard time and was about to lose. However, suddenly Dongbua Shuiying appeared within the spherical cages. The 4 Dongbua Shuiying worked together to unleash the star meteor annihilation, causing the black-scaled mutated beast to howl in agony. At the same time, they unleashed the chaotic suppression, causing the mutated beast's body to dissipate. With the 4 of them working together, the mutated beast had no way of escaping. In the blink of an eye, the cage was emptied. Wow! Dongbua is too formidable. His combat power has increased by so much. The mutated beasts have all been killed. The various life forms who had rushed over to spectate the battle were all astonished by what they saw. From their point of view, the mutated beast's combat power could easily kill a large group of peak stage deities, yet Shuiying was still able to forcibly kill them. I heard that this Dongbua has only cultivated for 2,000 years or so. How is he so powerful? My clan's ancestor bought a report. According to the report, this Dongbua has only cultivated for 2,300 years or so. With such a short period of cultivation, his attainments in both the Mirage and Star deity hearts are so high. In my opinion, he might even be able to grasp a Grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Grasping a Grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years? Doesn't that mean he has become a personal disciple of a powerful existence? That's hard to say. To be able to reach such a realm after cultivating for 2,000 years, he might be stuck here for tens of thousands of years. Even if he can't break through with the Star deity heart, he should be able to break through with the Mirage deity heart, right? In my opinion, this Dongbua has a high chance of grasping a Grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Countless spectators were discussing amongst themselves. A Grade 1 true meaning transcendent? That was a legend. Who knew how many billions of years it would take for one to appear? The moment one appeared, all powerful existences would fight to take him in as a disciple. Some powerful existences would even disregard their reputation and think of ways to get rid of him as soon as possible. The second best would be to grasp a Grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Compared to Grade 1 true meaning transcendence, there were slightly more of them, and powerful existences would not be so shameless as to act so viciously against them. Under normal circumstances, they would be able to cultivate to the Stage 3 world deity realm, with a few even becoming Stage 4 world deities. With this kind of potential, he could easily become a personal disciple of an almighty being. He was worthy of being nurtured by an almighty being. He's actually this powerful? The silver-robed General Ying, who was surrounded and protected by a group of soldiers, had an increasingly ugly expression on his face, and a crazed look could be seen in his eyes. What? Why is it that he has only cultivated for 2,000 years, yet his star deity heart and mirage deity heart have reached such heights? What about me? Why can't I make any progress? General Ying raised his head. His vision began to distort, and his true deity heart began to tremble. What? I can't accept this. I can't accept it. Destroy him. Destroy him. General Ying's eyes began to glow with a bloody light, and his body began to tremble. The expression of the gray-robed elder behind him changed when he saw this. He immediately reached out and grabbed General Ying, using his surging world deity energy to seal the deity energy within General Ying's body. General Ying was unable to resist, and he could not help but stare at the gray-robed elder with a savage expression. Are you courting death? General Ying has gone mad again. Bring him back, the gray-robed elder ordered the surrounding soldiers. General Ying's true deity heart was getting closer and closer to collapsing, so his aunt, the venomous Ying world deity, had long since ordered that the moment General Ying went mad, he was to be captured and brought back so as not to embarrass her in the Kamsi prefecture city. Wah! The group of soldiers quickly retreated with General Ying in tow. However, among the countless spectators, General Ying's group was just a drop in the ocean. In another location, the deities of the Xia people as well as Jianghu were all watching with incomparable excitement and joy. Dongbui is truly formidable. He has cultivated for such a short period of time, yet he has already surpassed all the other deities. Amazing. He truly deserves to be the strongest deity in the history of our Xia people. The Purple Thunder Emperor Yun Hai and the others were all incomparably proud and excited. Jianghu, on the other hand, had a faint smile on her face as she watched. Her eyes, however, were shining brightly. As a wife, she was naturally very happy to see her husband like this. On the high platform. Ha ha ha. The White Sand City Lord was laughing in an exceptionally carefree manner. He stroked his beard and glanced at the ugly expression on the venomous Ying world deity's face, then at the other deities. Everyone, it's too early for you to celebrate. You all thought that Jiushi was hiding his strength. Did Dongbui not hide his strength? Aha, how about it? Are you convinced of your loss? Don't be anxious. It's not the end yet. The Ink Cloud City Lord raised his head. Brother White Sand, aren't you celebrating a little too early? Marshal Qin also raised her head. That's right. The three of them haven't given up yet. Who knows who will be first or second? The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity sneered. Everyone present could see it clearly. Currently, within the spherical cage, Dongbui Shuiying held the greatest advantage. After all, the difference in strength between the three of them was not that big. Dongbui Shuiying's Mirage secret skill, condensing reality, had more than doubled his strength. From the speed at which he killed the mutated beasts, it could be seen that Dongbui was going to be ranked first. Not good, King Ronghai suddenly shouted. I admit defeat. Within the three spherical cages that were still fighting in the sky, Drunk Guest suddenly opened his mouth. Oh! He was expelled out of the cage. Standing there, he sheathed his deity sword and looked at the other two cages that were still fighting. He lightly shook his head. I've already displayed my strength to the limit. If I want to improve further, I'll have to grasp a grade 1 deity heart. Losing to the two of them is something I'm convinced of. He then flew downwards. Ha! Venomous Ying. The White Sand City Lord immediately turned to the yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity. It's hard to say who will be first and second, but the third place has already been decided. It's Drunk Guest. It's a pity that you bet on Dongbui being third, right? The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity had an ugly expression on her face. She sneered and did not say anything else. Even if her skin was thicker, losing 10 million deity crystals had left her feeling sullen and speechless. Jioshi's killing the mutated beast is getting slower and slower. The Ink Cloud City Lord and the others were all frowning. Could it be that you, White Sand, are still going to kill them all? Marshal Qin felt helpless. The White Sand City Lord stroked his beard in a pleased manner. In his heart, however, he was muttering to himself, this little brother of mine is truly formidable. Previously, I only set up this bet because I wanted to vent my anger. Who would have thought that Dongbui was actually hiding his true strength during the ranking battle? The Mirage Deity Heart, his Mirage secret skill is actually able to produce 3 Mirage bodies. This little brother of mine is truly formidable. He might even become a world deity within 10,000 years. At the highest point of the high platform, the Kamsi Prefecture Master and Monarch Mo Shui raised their heads to watch. This Dongbua does indeed have great potential. It's a pity that he has never had a good teacher to guide him. Monarch Emo Shui could not help but comment, just look at his star deity heart secret skill. There are still some laughable mistakes. His mirage secret skill can produce 3 bodies, and he has indeed reached a certain pinnacle. However, this is also a waste of his talent. Twice the effort for half the result. What, are you getting impatient? The Calm Sea Prefecture Master laughed. Seeing someone with potential who could clearly grasp a grade 1 deity heart even faster, yet he's still stumbling along the way, it's only natural for me to be impatient. Monarch Emo Shui shook his head. For example, this Mirage secret skill requires the Mirage deity heart to evolve into the World deity heart. What is the World deity heart? The World deity heart specializes in domains. Thus, for the Mirage deity heart to evolve into the World deity heart, a bit more effort should be put into the domain aspect. But what about him? He's actually focused on the remote Mirage true body. Although he studied it to the pinnacle, it's clearly a strenuous and unrewarding task. Monarch Emo Shui sighed. Ha! You can't even get a disciple even if you want to, yet you're still talking so much, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master teased. It's true that I can't. Not to mention the fact that my true deity heart is about to collapse. Even if it hadn't, a stage 4 world deity wouldn't be able to snatch such a disciple. Monarch Emo Shui nodded and sighed. This Dongbua might have made many laughable mistakes on his path of cultivation, but he still managed to reach such heights. As long as he takes a powerful existence as his master and receives their guidance, he'll be able to quickly walk down the correct path. There's a high chance of him reaching a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Right. Drunk Guest has the guidance of a powerful existence, so his sword techniques are completely following the path of the Splitting Heavens deity heart. His breakthroughs are much smoother, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master said. From their point of view, the Mirage deity heart needed to evolve into a World deity heart. One should follow the main path and advance along the main path. Dongbua Shuiying had walked on a small path, the Mirage bodies. He had already reached the pinnacle of this path. He had already created 3 Mirage bodies. However, although he was extremely close to breaking through to the World deity heart, the difficulty was still much higher. Still, with the guidance of a powerful existence, they were certain that he had a high chance of grasping a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. It's almost over. Monarch Emo Shui looked upwards. In your Calm Sea Prefecture, Jiushi is first, Dongbua is second, and Drunk Guest is third. They're all not bad. You've gained quite a bit of face during the Bloodshed God Palace's Myriad Flower Feast. Star. Chapter 462. Of the 250 ball-shaped cages in the sky, 2 were still fighting. These were the cages where Jiushi and Dongbua Shuiying were fighting. The white-robed, white-haired, white-brows and white-robed Jiushi still exuded an extraordinary aura. His countless figures were scattered across every corner of the cage, each of them waving their hands furiously, injuring mutated beasts time and time again. It was already a breath's worth of time before he could barely kill a mutated beast. Amen? Jiushi frowned as he looked in a certain direction. There was a ball-shaped cage where Dongbua Shuiying was currently fighting. This Dongbua has cultivated for such a short period of time, yet his attainments in both the Mirage deity heart and Star deity heart have reached such a high level. Does he not know how to focus on one path? Becoming a world deity first? Jiushi muttered to himself. He probably doesn't have a teacher to guide him, so he has to bury his head in cultivation. I originally thought that using this secret skill would be enough for me to take first place in the survival battle. Who would have thought that this Dongbua would be so powerful? It seems like I'll have to reveal my true strength. I originally wanted to do so in front of His Majesty and the powerful existences. However, I still have to take first place in the Calm Sea Prefecture survival battle. Otherwise, I won't even be able to take first place. In the future, when I become a disciple of a powerful existence, I will be mocked by my fellow disciples, Jiushi thought. Boom, the countless Jiushi figures scattered across every corner of the cage all waved their palms at the same time. Countless illusory palms rapidly converged to form a huge golden palm. This golden palm occupied nearly half of the ball-shaped cage before abruptly pressing downwards. As the golden palm pressed downwards, everything in its path was annihilated. Even the black-scaled mutated beast was directly crushed into nothingness. What? How is this possible? The White Sand City Lord, the emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace, the venomous Ying World Deity, the Ink Cloud City Lord, Marshal Qin and King Ronghai, the spectators of the various races, as well as the deities of the Xia people and Jingqiu, all stared at this scene in astonishment. At this point in the survival battle, just how powerful were the mutated beasts that were born? Drunk Guest could no longer kill mutated beasts. Even the 4 Dongbu Shuang figures had to work together to kill one. But Jiushi could kill it in one move? Boundless Deity Heart? The White Sand City Lord, the emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace, and the Ink Cloud City Lord exchanged glances. This Jiushi actually mastered the Boundless Deity Heart? Marshal Qin exclaimed, a Grade 1 Deity Heart, Boundless Deity Heart. What a good Jiushi. He has already grasped a Grade 1 Deity Heart, yet he waited until now to use it. Maybe he broke through in the midst of battle? King Ronghai said with a chuckle. Breaking through and grasping a Grade 1 Deity Heart? How could there be such a coincidence? The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed. I'm guessing that this Jiushi has long since grasped the Boundless Deity Heart. It's just that he hasn't been in a hurry to use it. To be able to grasp the Boundless Deity Heart after cultivating for nearly 6 million years, that's already pretty good. Brother White Sand, it looks like this Jiushi is the number 1 and Dongbo is number 2. You won't be able to earn any divine crystals from us. The emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace, Marshal Qin, and the others also laughed. Even though Dongbo Shuang was ranked 2nd and they did not make any losses, they were still very happy. Previously they had thought that they would lose 10 million divinity crystals. Now they had recovered their capital. Only the venomous Ying world deity remained silent. Because she was the only one who lost. Fortunately, I made some money from venomous Ying. The White Sand City Lord deliberately made things clear. Humph. Venomous Ying world deity sneered. I really didn't expect that one of the experts from my Com-Si prefecture participating this time would have a Grade 1 deity heart. The Ink Cloud City Lord exclaimed, according to past experience, the number of people who have grasped a Grade 1 deity heart in every myriad flower feast can be counted on one hand. The Bloodshed God Palace has a total of 19 prefectures, yet my Com-Si prefecture has 1. How rare. Yes. With a boundless deity heart, this Jiushi will definitely be ranked in the top 10 of the myriad flower feast. Everyone present nodded. In the past, there had always been a few deities who had grasped a Grade 1 deity heart in the myriad flower feast. In the earliest days there was even a debate. Should anyone with a Grade 1 deity heart be banned from participating? However, there were those who rebutted, a deity will break through during the myriad flower feast, greatly increasing their strength. Are they going to be eliminated? That doesn't make sense. There were also those who said, who knows if he broke through during the battle or if he had grasped it long ago? In the end, it was His Majesty who decided, as long as one has cultivated for 11 million years and uses deity energy. Even if one grasps a Grade 1 deity heart, they can still participate. Because, grasping a Grade 1 deity heart was extremely difficult. Most deities would cultivate for more than 100 million years before becoming world deities such as the Sorcerer God. His talent was not bad and he had also cultivated for more than 100 million years. More than 90% of world deities had spent more than 100 million years in the deity realm. Even so, the number of world deities in a starfield could be counted on one's fingers. And to grasp a Grade 1 deity heart within 11 million years, let alone the territory of the Bloodshed God Palace, even in the entire deity world, there were only about 10 or 20 such people in every myriad flower feast. In addition, their talent was not bad, and most of them were already under the tutelage of powerful existences. Some even belonged to the Temporal Island or the Myriad God Palace, so they would not participate in the Myriad Flower Feast. After all, as long as they participated in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, they would naturally become a member of the Bloodshed God Palace. If they did not wish to join the Bloodshed God Palace, then they would not participate in the battle. They would not be qualified to enjoy the Myriad Flower True Fruit. Thus, in every myriad flower feast, there were only a few who grasped a Grade 1 deity heart. Their eyesight is still somewhat lacking. They only discovered now that Jiushi grasped a boundless deity heart. Monarch Mo Shui looked down at the White Sand City Lord and the other 5, then said to the Com-Si Prefecture Master, the secret skill Jiushi used previously, which allowed him to split himself into countless bodies, might not be eye-catching, but it still contains some of the boundless deity heart's profound mysteries. During the arena battle, when Jiushi split himself into countless bodies and killed his opponent with a single move, Monarch Mo Shui and the Com-Si Prefecture Master had discovered it. After all, this secret skill contains some of the boundless deity heart's profound mysteries. Jiushi was not afraid of exposing himself, and he also wanted to get first place. That was why he used such a secretive move, even though it contained a small amount of the boundless divine heart's profoundness. Even though it contained some of the boundless deity heart's profound mysteries, Jiushi felt that he should not be discovered. As for being forced by Dongbua Shuiying to the very end, Jiushi no longer concealed himself and directly revealed his full strength. I can't blame them, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master said. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master continued, the boundless deity heart is extremely rare even amongst grade 1 deity hearts. Bai Sha and the others have yet to grasp the boundless deity heart, and the secret skill they used previously was rather hidden. Naturally, they would not be able to tell. Amen. Monarch Mo Shui nodded. Grade 1 deity heart. Most world deities would have a spacetime deity heart, extremity deity heart, creation deity heart, primal deity heart, and world deity heart. As for the boundless deity heart, it was extremely rare. It was just like how it was extremely rare for someone to comprehend the mirage deity heart from a grade 2 deity heart. The boundless deity heart was also extremely rare, as it represented a unique essence of the entire world. Even world deities would find it hard to comprehend it. Only after becoming a stage 4 world deity would they begin to comprehend it by analogy. Even if they did not completely grasp it, they would at least have a rough understanding of it. As such, both the Calm Sea Prefecture Master and Monarch Mo Shui were able to see through it. In truth, Jiushi had only managed to comprehend the boundless deity heart after being trapped in a certain place for many years due to a fortuitous encounter. It was there that he experienced the meaning of boundless, and eventually grasped the boundless deity heart. The boundless deity heart was extremely rare, and its methods were extremely strange. It could be considered a school of its own. Formidable. Dongbua Shuiying also saw the scene of Jiushi's battle in the distant spherical cage. Countless illusory palms converged to form a huge golden palm. Its power shocked even Dongbua Shuiying. Unless I use a grade 1 deity heart, it's impossible for me to win. He's cultivated for nearly 6 million years. It's one thing for him to use a grade 1 deity heart. I've only cultivated my heart for 2,000 years or so. If I were to use a grade 1 deity heart, it would most likely be known to all powerful existences. Dongbua Shuiying thought to himself. Forget it. Big Brother White Sand also said that if I were ranked second, his bet wouldn't be too bad. Only if I were ranked third would he lose miserably. Dongbua Shuiying immediately said, I admit defeat. Although he could still continue fighting, there was no need to delay any longer. Wah! He was directly expelled out of the spherical cage and into the air. Standing in mid-air and looking at the countless figures of Jiushi in the distant spherical cage, Dongbua Shuiying could not help but sigh inwardly, boundless? Is this the boundless deity heart of a grade 1 deity heart? No wonder I couldn't tell which of his countless bodies was the real one. So they were all fake. Or perhaps, every single one of them could be the real one. The trillions of figures could all be fake. Or the real body could hide within one of them, or the real body could be scattered among the trillions of bodies. For example, the chaotic deity heart and the extremity deity heart were both extremely powerful. However, when they encountered the boundless deity heart, they would find it troublesome. In fact, they might not even be able to touch the enemy. However, the deity heart that Dongbua Shuiying grasped was the domain type, world deity heart. Naturally, he was the world lord. The world suppression was a perfect counter to the boundless deity heart. I admit defeat. After Dongbua Shuiying admitted defeat, the countless figures of Jiushi instantly dissipated, leaving only a single figure. Dressed in white robes and with white hair, he indifferently glanced at Dongbua Shuiying with a hint of arrogance in his eyes. In his opinion, he had grasped a grade 1 deity heart, so the myriad flower feast should have been a walk in the park. The champion of the Calm Sea Prefecture should naturally be him. As for Dongbua Shuiying, while his potential was not bad, his actual strength? The gap between them was huge. Grade 1 deity heart? That Jiushi has grasped a grade 1 deity heart? He's that powerful? It's normal for Dongbua to lose to him. After all, the two of them aren't even on the same level. Countless spectators cried out in alarm. Jiushi was also expelled from the spherical cage. His lips curled into a smile as his gaze swept across the crowd. By then, Dongbua Shuiying had already descended and returned to his original position. Brother Dongbua, I didn't think that Jiushi would have already grasped a grade 1 deity heart. Losing to him is something that can't be helped, 7th Mayu said with a smile. It can't be helped. Dongbua Shuiying did not seem to mind at all. At this time, The voice of the Bloodshed God Palace's emissary resounded through the sky. The Calm Sea Prefecture's selection for the Myriad Flower Feast has ended, and the top 100 have been selected. These 100 will set off for the Bloodshed God Palace in 3 years. Star. Chapter 463. The Legion soldiers maintained order and the spectators began to disperse. Dongbua Shuiying, drunk guest, and the others returned to their own caverns. On the high platform, the White Sand City Lord and the others stood up to leave. After all, the 3 selections of the Calm Sea Prefecture had ended, and there was no need for them to stay any longer. Old brother White Sand, are you going to the Bloodshed God Palace? King Ronghai asked. Even if it's for his brother Dongbua, he'll still go and spectate. The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed from the side. The White Sand City Lord grinned, stroking his beard in delight. Ink Cloud City Lord, you guessed correctly. I'm indeed going to the Bloodshed God Palace to take a look, and see which powerful existence my brother Dongbua will eventually become the disciple of. You don't need to worry about that. That little fellow Dongbua is extremely talented, the Ink Cloud City Lord said confidently. The Ink Cloud City Lord said confidently, he's already this strong in just over 2,300 years. His Mirage Deity Heart and Star Deity Heart both have a chance of breaking through. Under the guidance of a powerful existence, he has a high chance of breaking through to Grade 1 Deity Heart within 10,000 years. With such potential, powerful existences will definitely be willing to take the initiative to choose him. I'm not worried about whether or not he'll be chosen by a powerful existence. The White Sand City Lord shook his head. If even someone with Dongbua's potential isn't chosen, how many others will? On the surface, Jiushi might be stronger than Dongbua Shuiying, but Jiushi had cultivated for nearly 6 million years. His potential was far inferior to Dongbua Shuiying's. What I'm slightly worried about is whether or not Dongbua has any hope of becoming the disciple of one of those 3. The White Sand City Lord was filled with anticipation. Those 3? Marshal Qin, King Ronghai, and the others could not help but shake their heads. Difficult. Reporting to Prefecture Master, the Calm Sea Prefecture's selections have ended. I'll be returning to the Bloodshed God Palace first, the emissary said to the Prefecture Master. Go. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded. The emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace was supposed to report the situation of the survival battle as soon as possible so that it could be sorted into more detailed reports and sent to the powerful existences. Facing this river, even world deities would not be able to fly. They had to take a boat to cross it. This river, which was born out of the void, encircled a vast continent in the starry sky. The length of this river was millions and millions of kilometers, so long that it was hard to even count it. Even the Calm Sea Prefecture city, which was as big as it was, could only barely match the width of this river. There were countless cultivators on this continent. In the center of the continent was a luxurious black palace. In a garden within the black palace, a black-robed, black-haired old man sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. He seemed to have no aura at all, as if he had become one with the palace, the continent, and even the surging void river. Master. A beautiful woman in red walked in and looked at him nervously before speaking respectfully. The black-robed, black-haired old man opened his eyes and looked at the red-robed woman. This is an intelligence report sent over by the Bloodshed God Palace. The selection of the 19 prefectures of the Bloodshed God Palace has concluded, with 100 candidates from each prefecture. In total, there is 1,900 candidates. The red-robed woman respectfully handed over a blood-colored scroll, which immediately floated in front of the black-robed, black-haired old man. With a single glance, the old man understood everything. Not bad. There are quite a few outstanding youngsters in this myriad flower feast. The black-robed, black-haired old man sighed. Is there anyone that you want, master? The red-robed woman asked with a smile. 2 or 3. The one I like the most is a brat called Dongbua. It's a pity that I didn't take a fancy to him. I reckon that many other powerful existences will take a fancy to him as well. I wonder who he'll eventually become a disciple of. If Master wants to fight, he'll definitely be able to, the red-robed woman said. His Majesty hasn't accepted a disciple in a long time, so it's unlikely that he will, the black-robed, black-haired old man said. I'm just afraid that those 3 will try to snatch him from me. Those 3? The red-robed woman was startled. As the news spread, many of the powerful existences who were about to participate in the Myriad Flower Feast came to know of the young geniuses with great potential. Drunk Guest, for example, was a pretty good candidate, but he was already the personal disciple of the powerful Yugong. There were not many who were sufficiently talented but didn't have a powerful existence as a master. Moreover, if one's potential wasn't too dazzling, the powerful existences wouldn't bother fighting over it. After all, it didn't make much of a difference. Thus, there were only a few people worth fighting over. Eastern Europe's Snow Eagle was one of them. Kamsi Prefecture, Dongbua Shui Ying's cavern dwelling, within a cultivation room. I hope that I can become a disciple of His Majesty God Emperor during this myriad flower feast, Dongbua Shui Ying thought. However, His Majesty is the strongest expert in the deity world, so there's not much meaning in accepting a disciple. It's been a long time since he's accepted a disciple. It'd be great if I could become a disciple of one of the three ancestors. Powerful existences. They transcended the river of time and were truly eternal existences. Although stage 4 world deities were rare, and taking that step to become a powerful existence was difficult, the Bloodshed God Palace still had 23 powerful existences. Over the long years, the Bloodshed God Palace had a total of 23 powerful existences. The most dazzling of them all was His Majesty Bloodblade. The second was the third ancestor. Only after that were the other 19 powerful existences. The third ancestor. The first was called the Monarch of Destruction. He was originally the Abyss Monarch of one of the layers of the Dark Abyss and one of the earliest powerful existences in the Dark Abyss. His age could even be ranked in the top 3. When his avatar arrived in the deity world, he took in a disciple while roaming the deity world. That disciple was the current Bloodblade. As an ancient monarch of the Dark Abyss, he gradually improved as he taught Bloodblade. Although his current combat power was no longer comparable to that of his disciple, he was still stronger than most powerful existences. Furthermore, he specialized in teaching disciples. Over the long years, other than Bloodblade, he had taught a total of 5 powerful existences. Thus, even though he was born in the Dark Abyss, the Monarch of Destruction had an extremely high status within the Bloodshed God Palace. He was greatly respected, and he usually resided within the Bloodshed God Palace's territory. The second was called Pang-yi. Pang-yi was one of the earliest savage existences born in the deity world. During the earliest era of the deity world, there were many deity world creatures. They slaughtered each other and only 5 of them managed to survive and become powerful existences. They were also known as the Fierce 5 of the deity world. Pang-yi was the head of the Fierce 5. The other 4 were at the standard of ordinary powerful existences. Only Pang-yi was much stronger. The third was called the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture was also one of the 19 prefectures of the Bloodshed God Palace. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was only a stage 4 world deity. According to logic, the longer a stage 4 world deity lived, their temperament would gradually change, to the point where they could no longer maintain their original heart. An ordinary stage 4 world deity would live for 10 billion years, or at most a few billion years. Very few could live beyond 20 billion years. But the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master had already lived for 500 billion years, and was the longest living stage 4 world deity. Even now, there were no signs of his true deity heart crumbling. Furthermore, his combat power was exceptionally strong, even stronger than ordinary powerful existences. He was one of the 3 ancestors. In the deity world and Dark Abyss, there were no longer any extravagant hopes that his true deity heart would crumble. After all, ordinary stage 4 world deities could only live for 10 billion years, but what about him? He had lived for far too long. There were even some powerful existences who had fallen, and none of them had lived as long as he did. Even though he was not a powerful existence, everyone treated him as one, and ordinary powerful existences had to treat him with respect. Sacred Master Crimson Dust, for instance, had clearly not lived as long as the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. The 3 ancestors' combat power far surpasses that of ordinary powerful existences. Dongbua Shui Ying thought, it's just that once their combat power reaches this level, they don't care much about accepting disciples. Dongbua, Her Highness Meiyu has come to visit. Jing Qiu's voice came from outside the cultivation room. Chapter 464. As soon as Dongbua Shui Ying left the cultivation room, he saw 7th Meiyu standing in the courtyard. 7th Meiyu still had the appearance of a white-robed handsome youth. He turned his head and smiled. Brother Dongbua, my father wishes to meet you. Your father? Dongbua Shui Ying was startled. May I ask? My father is Monarch Imo Shui. 7th Meiyu did not hide anything. Monarch Imo Shui? Dongbua Shui Ying suddenly understood. He had been wondering why Monarch Mo Shui had come to watch the Calm Sea Prefecture's selections. So it turned out that his children had come as well. He had only heard that Monarch Mo Shui had 6 daughters. 7th Meiyu was only at the deity realm, so she was clearly much younger. Could it be that Monarch Mo Shui finally had a son? Jing Qiu, who was standing to the side, was also somewhat startled. Monarch Mo Shui wishes to meet the Snow Eagle? Emin, 7th Meiyu nodded. My father is currently at my cave residence. Brother Dongbua, let's head over first. Jing Qiu, I'll be heading over first, Dongbua Shuang said. Since Monarch Mo Shui had summoned him, he naturally could not be negligent. Jing Qiu nodded lightly, sending Dongbua Shuang and 7th Meiyu off with her gaze. Within the hall of 7th Meiyu's cave residence, Monarch Mo Shui was seated cross-legged. Upon entering, Dongbua Shuang respectfully greeted. Junior Dongbua pays his respects to Monarch. Have a seat, Monarch Mo Shui said with a smile. Dongbua Shuang immediately sat down behind a table, while 7th Meiyu sat opposite him. Within the hall were Monarch Mo Shui, Dongbua, 7th Meiyu, and the attendants. I've watched all of your battles, Monarch Mo Shui said. Monarch Mo Shui said, although your potential is not bad, you have taken many detours and even made many laughable mistakes. You should have never received pointers from powerful beings, not even Stage 4 world deities have given you pointers, right? Stage 4 world deities were just one step away from becoming powerful existences, and their understanding of the laws of the world was already incomparably close to that of powerful existences. Yes, this junior has always been exploring the path of cultivation. Dongbua Shuang replied respectfully. No wonder. Tell me about the secret skill of your star divine heart. Monarch Mo Shui casually pointed, and a long spear appeared in midair. The spear technique displayed by this long spear was precisely chaotic crushing suppression. At Monarch Mo Shui's level, he had long grasped the chaotic whole deity heart. Therefore, imitating this secret skill was simply a walk in the park. Look at this secret skill of yours. The moment this Monarch Mo Shui came, he began to give pointers. This made Dongbua Shuang secretly suspicious. Why did this Monarch Mo Shui treat him so well? You think highly of my potential? But in the eyes of others, he was not a grade 1 true meaning transcendent. It was unknown how long it would take for him to become a stage 3 or 4 world deity. Even though Dongbua Shuang was perplexed, he still listened attentively. After all, such guidance was extremely precious. This finger poke, it lasted for a full 2 days. 7th Meiyu had been drinking fruit wine by the side, watching calmly. Monarch Mo Shui was in high spirits as he gave pointers. Dongbua Shuang would often raise many doubts. From this, Monarch Mo Shui could feel that Dongbua Shui Ying's comprehension ability was extremely high. Alright, let's stop here. Monarch Mo Shui stopped. Only then did Dongbua Shuang reluctantly stop. After 2 days of teaching, he was no longer as unfamiliar with Monarch Mo Shui. Even though they were not master and disciple in name, there was some truth to it. One must know that it was rare for an inner disciple of a powerful existence to receive pointers. This kind of wholehearted guidance for 2 consecutive days was more than what many inner disciples of powerful existences received in a lifetime. Senior, why do you treat me? Dongbua Shuang could not help but ask. Let's form karma. Monarch Mo Shui smiled. 3 years later you will head to the Bloodshed God Palace. At that time, I'm afraid there will be many powerful existences willing to accept you as a disciple. Have you decided who to choose? Of course, the stronger the master, the better. Dongbua Shuang honestly said, if I can become His Majesty's disciple, that would naturally be the best. Being able to become the disciple of the 3 ancestors is already a great fortune. If not, then I'll choose the one that suits me. Monarch Mo Shui nodded. His Majesty has not accepted disciples for a long time. His Majesty will not care about grade 1 true meaning transcendence. But the 3 ancestors, you have some hope. Let me remind you, of the 3 ancestors, the best would be Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, followed by Overlord Destruction, and finally Pang Yi. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master is the best. Dongbua Shuang was shocked. Isn't he a stage 4 world deity? Have you seen a stage 4 world deity who has lived for more than 500 billion years? Monarch Mo Shui shook his head, his voice low. What I've told you, you must not spread it. Yes. Dongbua Shuang nodded. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master is a stage 4 world deity on the surface, but in reality he cannot be considered a world deity. Monarch Mo Shui's gaze was complicated. Cannot be considered a world deity? Dongbua Shuang was puzzled. This old man, his absolute art has always been unwilling to be spread out. If I were to learn it, Monarch Imoshua muttered. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. He then grinned, let's not talk about it anymore. In short, taking him as your teacher is absolutely not a mistake. As long as he is willing to accept you, you can immediately go and take him as your teacher. If your potential is really high enough to receive his attention and love, and learn that absolute art of his, then you really have to thank me. Junior understands. Dongbua Shuang nodded. If the three ancestors do not invite you, then you can do as you see fit, Monarch Imoshua said. After the discussion, Dongbua Shuang also left and returned to his cave dwelling. In the following days he would be in closed-door cultivation. This time, the guidance he received was of great help to him. Monarch Imoshua's guidance was mainly on the star deity heart. As for the mirage deity heart, Monarch Imoshua's guidance was very simple. It was to let him temporarily give up his research on the mirage body, and focus more on the domain aspect. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. An extravagant starfield flying ship departed from the Calm Sea Prefecture. The Calm Sea Prefecture master was personally driving it, leading Dongbua Shuang and a large group of people. Riding on a starfield flying ship is truly comfortable. Standing on the deck and gazing at the colorful and flowing spacetime tunnel, Dongbua Shuang, Jingqiu, the Purple Thunder Emperor, and the other deities of the Xia people were all sighing in amazement. Naturally, the other deities ranked in the top 100 were also watching with their subordinates and servants. If one were to use a spatial teleportation array, it would feel as though one had sunk into a swamp. It would be extremely uncomfortable. The Purple Thunder Emperor sighed in admiration. But using a starfield flying ship is much more comfortable. Their surroundings were filled with colorful and flowing spacetime tunnels. This huge ship was flying within them. This flight, it took the time to brew a cup of tea. Because the distance between the Calm Sea Prefecture and the Bloodshed God Palace was simply too great, even if one were to use a spatial teleportation array, it would still take the time taken to brew a cup of tea. To feel as though one was being squeezed by a swamp for the time taken to brew a cup of tea was truly suffering. Experts with sufficiently high statuses and strength, such as Stage 3 world deities, would usually have their own starfield flying ship. We're here. The colorful and flowing spacetime tunnel suddenly came to an end, and the ship instantly flew out. So this is the Bloodshed God Palace? Dongbua Shuang and the others all gasped in amazement at the dazzling scene before them. The Bloodshed God Palace's myriad flower feast? A withered wooden ship arrived at the Bloodshed God Palace. Standing on it was a white-robed, bald youth. His eyes seemed to contain a boundless world, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. I heard that junior apprentice brother Dongbua is also participating in the myriad flower feast, and that he's quite dazzling in the Calm Sea Prefecture? As his senior apprentice brother, I'll definitely have to take a good look. A fiery red ship with flames rising from its surface. The fiery red ship passed through the spacetime tunnel and arrived in the starry sky outside the Bloodshed God Palace. Soon after, the ship disappeared. A white-haired, youthful-faced old man appeared with a smile on his face. This was none other than Chihua Laozu. I sent Dongbua to participate, but who would have thought that this kid would be so dazzling? In this myriad flower feast, in terms of potential, Dongbua Shuang could easily rank in the top 3. So. As the myriad flower feast began, many Stage 4 world deities and powerful existences were invited. Many of them were not from the Bloodshed God Palace's territory, and some were even from the Dark Abyss. They were all invited. Many ancient and mysterious existences from the deity world, as well as some who kept a low profile yet were extremely powerful, were invited one after another. As long as there was no enmity between them, they would still give face to the Blood Blade. Star. Chapter 466. Dongbua Shuang and the others stood on the deck of the starfield flying ship, looking at the dazzling scene in front of them. The Bloodshed God Palace, this is the Bloodshed God Palace. Everyone exclaimed. In the starry sky ahead of them was a floating continent. This continent was only slightly larger than the Calm Sea Prefecture city. There was a chain of palaces on the continent. Among them, the palace with the symbol of Blood Edge in the center was the tallest and most majestic. There were a total of 9 statues scattered around the 4 corners of the Bloodshed God Palace. These 9 statues were all kinds of beasts with armor on their bodies. Each of these mutated beasts was over 100 billion kilometers tall, second only to the main palace in the center. It's so beautiful. The entire Bloodshed God Palace emitted a misty rainbow light. This was because every palace building, every street, and even the surroundings of the 9 statues were covered with ancient arrays. These arrays were constantly drawing upon the power of heaven and earth, emitting all sorts of colorful lights. Thus, even though the Bloodshed God Palace was only this big, its light illuminated hundreds of millions of kilometers. This isn't just beautiful. For these arrays to have such power when activated automatically, one can imagine how terrifying their true power is. 7th May you watched from afar. According to what I know, the Bloodshed God Palace was personally constructed by His Majesty, and it has been reinforced over countless years. Just the slightest release of power from these arrays is enough to kill powerful existences, much less world deities. Not even powerful existences can resist it. As expected of the Bloodshed God Palace, everyone present could only sigh in shock. After all, this was the core of the Bloodshed God Palace, and also the place where the strongest expert in the deity world, Bloodshed God Emperor, resided. To His Majesty, God Emperor, killing ordinary powerful existences was a walk in the park. Thus, it was not strange for the arrays he had meticulously laid out to have such power. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master's ship arrived at the Bloodshed God Palace. Under the guidance of the Bloodshed God Palace's soldiers, everyone was taken to their respective residences. Donghua, this is where you and your companions will be staying, a muscular black-armored soldier said. I'm sure you all know the rules of the Bloodshed God Palace. If you break the rules and lose your life, it will be too late for regrets. We understand, Donghua Shuang said. All right, cultivate quietly. When the Myriad Flower Feast begins, you will be summoned to participate in the final Bloodshed God Palace battle, the black-armored soldier instructed, then turned around and left. Donghua Shuang sent him off with his eyes. To the side, the Dragon Mountain Emperor sighed. As expected of the Bloodshed God Palace. Even the most ordinary soldier is a world deity. Along the way, none of the soldiers I saw were deity rank. Long Shan. The Purple Thunder Emperor laughed. The legions of the Bloodshed God Palace are divided into 3 classes. The legions within the Starfield are usually the lowest class 3, and the few legions within the prefecture are all class 2. As for the legions within the Bloodshed God Palace, any one of them is a true class 1 legion. In a first-class legion, even the lowest soldiers are world deities. A first-class legion can directly deal with powerful existences. Oh. The Dragon Mountain Emperor suddenly understood. He hadn't been in the divine world for long, and he had always lived in a small place, so he knew very little. This time, in order to go to the prefecture city, he had used up all his treasures just to pay for the teleportation array. Let's go in first, Shuang said as he looked around him. In the distance, there were many experts participating in the Bloodshed God Palace battle with their companions. They entered the cavern dwelling. This cavern dwelling could be considered the smallest in the Bloodshed God Palace, being only 5 kilometers in circumference. Donghua Shuang sat cross-legged on the grass next to a river within the cavern dwelling. He held a crystal jade in his hand, and the information contained within the crystal jade flowed into his mind. This crystal jade had been sent over by a soldier of the Bloodshed God Palace, and it contained the battle scenes of the 1,900 deity experts participating in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, mainly the arena battles and the survival battles. Of the 1,900 deity experts, there are a total of 5 who have grasped a grade 1 deity heart like Joshi. Perhaps there are still 2 or 3 who have yet to reveal their true strength. Donghua Shuang thought. Those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart definitely won't be able to defeat them. Based on past experience, the first few with grade 1 deity hearts will usually be occupied by them. However, my goal is to become a disciple of a powerful existence and accumulate some experience. Then I'll eat a myriad flower true fruit. That would be perfect. Donghua Shuang then began to ponder over the opponents one by one. However, the combat power of this batch of opponents is truly high. Recalling the battle scenes, he began to categorize their combat power. Who was undefeatable? Who was able to fight against them? Who was able to defeat them? The Bloodshed God Palace had sent this information to every participant precisely so that they could understand themselves and their enemies. Only then would they be able to fight more brilliantly during the Bloodshed God Palace battle. If a powerful expert were to foolishly clash with someone who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, that would be an unjust loss. Snow Eagle, Snow Eagle. A voice came from afar. Donghua Shuang turned his head, only to see his wife walking over with a white-robed bald teenager. The white-robed bald teenager had a unique aura, as if he could see through everything and transcend everything. His eyes were boundlessly vast, as if they contained millions upon millions of worlds. This was a super expert that caused Dongbua Shuiying to sigh in admiration. He was in existence on the same level as Monarch Mo Shui and the Kamsi Prefecture Master. Junior disciple brother Dongbua. The white-robed bald teenager walked over with a smile on his face. Greetings, senior disciple brother Huiming. Dongbua Shuiying hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. I've heard that Crimson Rock Mountain fell into the material world after teacher's death, but under a stroke of luck, he accepted a good disciple. Who would have thought that junior disciple brother Dongbua would be so amazing? The white-robed bald teenager laughed and praised. I've heard from Chihua Laozu that you've sacrificed half of your soul to save your wife, yet you're still so powerful. I'm afraid that there will be more than one powerful existence willing to accept you as a disciple in this myriad flower feast. Senior disciple brother is overpraising me, Dongbua Shuiying said. Jing Qiu hurriedly said, since eldest disciple brother is here, I've brought him here. They had all cultivated on Crimson Dust Island, so they were familiar with eldest disciple brother Huiming's appearance. Right, senior disciple brother, the enemy who killed teacher wouldn't be from the Bloodshed God Palace, right? Dongbua Shuiying asked. I don't want to become their disciple. It's a powerful existence from the Temporal Island, Huiming said. If it were a powerful existence from the Bloodshed God Palace, Scarlet Flame wouldn't have allowed you to participate in the Myriad Flower Feast. I understand. Dongbua Shuiying nodded. As they conversed, invisible ripples began to spread around them. These ripples were capable of preventing all probing. For instance, the sack that Ancestor Black Wind had once obtained was capable of rendering all laws of nature ineffective. Powerful existences had transcended the laws of the world, and they could easily create such treasures. Thus, both Huiming and Dongbua Shuiying had such treasures that could block all probing. Once they were blocked, even the Temporal Temple wouldn't be able to investigate. After all, the Temporal Temple could only reverse time. In the deity world, most assassins would use such treasures. Even if they were killed, they wouldn't be able to find out who the killer was. Teacher's enmity involves powerful existences, so you don't need to worry about it, Huiming said. It's too distant for you. I understand. Teacher didn't insist on us taking revenge, Dongbua Shuiying said with a smile. Haha. Huiming lightly nodded and smiled. I really envy you, junior disciple brother. You control a material mortal world and you even have a lover by your side. Even during the Myriad Flower Feast, your sister-in-law accompanied you. I'm starting to feel a bit jealous. Beside him, Jing Qiu also laughed. Dongbua Shuiying looked at his wife. When their gazes met, they could feel each other's thoughts. I'm also very satisfied, Dongbua Shuiying said. If he was all alone, what was the point of being unparalleled? Star. Chapter 467. Huiming replied, Junior brother Dongbua, I am currently staying at the distant Dust Temple. If you wish to find me, you can go there to look for me. As for normal communication, you can do so through communication treasures. All right. Dongbua Shuiying and Huiming left an imprint on each other so that communication treasures could be used to sense each other. Soon, Senior Huiming bade farewell and left. Senior Huiming is greatly respected by the disciples of Crimson Rock Mountain. Seeing him today, I can see that he is indeed extraordinary. He even came to see me and treated me so courteously. Dongbua Shuiying sighed. Although he had potential, news of his Grade 1 true meaning had never been revealed. Secondly, Senior Huiming was also a Grade 1 true meaning transcendent. He was also the only Grade 1 true meaning transcendent that Sacred Master Crimson Dust had accepted. He was now a Stage 4 world deity. I heard that Senior Huiming suffered a setback in his love life when he was young and became a monk. Jing Qiu sighed. His talent was outstanding and he was even a Grade 1 true meaning transcendent. Later on, because of a grudge, he began to spread his faith without restraint, and quickly became a Stage 4 world deity. Dongbua Shuiying nodded. Faith, it was a huge help to one's cultivation. By accumulating the power of faith, one's cultivation speed would explosively increase. A Grade 1 true meaning transcendent with outstanding talent would naturally improve by leaps and bounds. However, faith was the key to success and failure. Faith was also bound by karma. The more faith one absorbed, the harder it would be to transcend. This was also the biggest obstacle for Stage 4 world deities to become powerful existences. Even so, there were still countless world deities who continued to spread and absorb faith. If they did not absorb faith, they would at most become Stage 2 world deities. If they absorbed faith, they would have a chance of becoming stage 3 world deities. Those who were extremely lucky might even become stage 4 world deities. Naturally, they were all willing to absorb faith. As for those who could not become powerful existences, since ancient times, how many had become powerful existences in the deity world and dark abyss? It was too difficult. Of course, grade 1 true meaning transcendence would usually not absorb faith unless there was a special reason. Dongbu Shuiying had also been warned by the weapon spirit, Crimson Rock, not to absorb faith. That was because a grade 1 true meaning transcendence potential was extremely great, and his chances of becoming a stage 4 world deity were already very high. It was not worth it for him to save time by absorbing faith, which was akin to cutting off all hope of becoming a powerful existence. The main hall was extremely tall, and at the highest point was the place where the myriad flower feast was held. Clouds and mist surrounded the main hall, and one after another, great existences flew over from afar. Each of these great existences had their own unique auras. Some were blazing hot, as though they could instantly incinerate everything within a million miles, some were reserved like a bottomless abyss, and some were so sharp that they tore through the void, causing Dongbu Shuiying and the others' hearts to palpitate. Dongbu Shuiying and the other 1,900 great existences were currently seated at the outermost perimeter, each with a table of food in front of them. There were also soldiers standing guard around them, the weakest of which was a stage 1 world deity. Occasionally, a stage 2 world deity could be seen as well. As for the area near His Majesty and the other powerful existences, there were even stage 3 world deity guards standing guard respectfully. I remember that General Ying's father is a stage 3 world deity and His Majesty's personal guard. Dongbu Shuiying glanced in the direction of His Majesty and saw the stage 3 world deity guards standing guard. I reckon that General Ying's father is one of them. As deities, they could not clearly see what was happening within the banquet. All they could feel was an invisible pressure, and when they looked over with their naked eyes, all they could see was a blur. Blood Blade was seated at the highest point. He was dressed in a crimson robe, and his eyes were deep and serene. The area around him seemed to be filled with endless darkness and destruction. Just by sitting there, he was able to instill fear in the other powerful existences who were participating in the banquet. Beside him, there were 3 others who were seated at the same height as him. The aura of these 3 people was so strong that it was comparable to that of Blood Blade. One of them was a ruler from the dark abyss. His body was huge and towering, and his eyes were filled with an endless bloodthirst. The dark abyss had a total of 3 rulers. Just like how the temporal island lord, Blood Blade, and the myriad god palace head stood at the apex of the deity world, these 3 rulers also stood at the apex of the dark abyss. There was another abyss ruler. He was a cold male dressed in golden armor. His gaze was the sharpest, and none of the powerful existences below dared to look him in the eye. The final person was a graceful and luxurious woman. Her aura was the most reserved and gentle, though she was not at a disadvantage when compared to Blood Blade and the others. Other than these 4, the other powerful existences were all seated below. They were grand and majestic, and there were close to 100 of them. Some of them came from the dark abyss, while others were subordinates of the Bloodshed God Palace. Most of them were independent powerful existences who did not belong to any organization. These powerful existences were all extremely arrogant, and most of them were unwilling to serve others. Even powerful existences like Blood Blade, Temporal Island Lord, and Myriad God Palace Head weren't willing to serve them. For instance, the Bloodshed God Palace. Even though they had several powerful existences under them, some of them were seeking refuge, while others had a teacher-disciple relationship. Other than the powerful existences, there were also stage 4 world deities attending the banquet. However, all stage 4 world deities belonged to the Bloodshed God Palace, and stage 4 world deities from outside organizations were not qualified to be invited. Old monkey, I heard that you snatched a Sunstar Nucleus Stone from the Sunstar? Were you listening to Sunstar Nucleus Stone? The Sunstar hasn't produced a star nucleus stone for hundreds of billions of years, and I managed to snatch one? All of you must have gone crazy thinking about the Sunstar Nucleus Stone. Come, let's have a drink. Brother Wu, we haven't seen each other in a long time. I didn't expect you to come to the Myriad Flower Feast. I've been in seclusion for a long time. I've made some progress, so I came out to relax. The Almighties chatted in 2s and 3s. Those who were close to each other sat together. Those with grudges kept their distance. Everyone. Blood Blade sat high above, his voice somewhat cold. With so many good friends here, the Myriad Flower Feast is so lively. I'm also very happy. Everyone, let's continue drinking and chatting. While we're chatting, how about watching the little fellows from our Bloodshed God Palace compete? The powerful existences present all turned to look outside. Their gazes easily landed on the 1,900 deities outside. Most of them, however, were just there to watch the show. After all, only the powerful existences of the Bloodshed God Palace were allowed to accept disciples. Other powerful existences could not accept disciples. Jianghu Laozu was also among the powerful existences. He was also an idle powerful existence who had not joined the Bloodshed God Palace. Let's begin then. Blood Blade calmly ordered. To the God Emperor who had stood at the apex for so many years, the myriad flower feast was just a gathering of old friends. As for choosing disciples, that was just a minor matter. Even those with sufficiently high statuses would find it hard to accept disciples. For instance, Blood Blade was too lazy to even accept grade 1 true meaning transcendence. He was a stage 4 world deity. His gaze swept across the 1,900 deities. I'll send you all over now to begin the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Dongbo Shuiying, 7th Meiyu Jiushi, drunk guest, and many other powerful deities from the other prefectures were all waiting quietly. Finally, the Blood Armor General activated the array. Beneath the region where Dongbo Shuiying and the other 1,900 deities were located, a golden array lit up. An unseen force immediately wrapped around the consciousness of Dongbo Shuiying and the others and sent them flying into the distance. For a moment, Dongbo Shuiying and the others lost consciousness. Their consciousness was transported to another location. Amen? Dongbo Shuiying looked at the towering mountain in front of him, as well as the mountain range in the distance. There were countless caves within this mountain range, and within these caves were shrouded in mist. Violet mist, black mist, golden mist. Shuiying swept his gaze across the area and saw several other deity experts standing in midair. Clearly, there were a total of 1,900 deities scattered throughout the mountain range. Truly formidable. My consciousness was transported here so easily? Dongbo Shuiying sensed his own body. Furthermore, this body is exactly the same as my true body. The same time immemorial body level 3, and the same great chaotic true force. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was the safest, because it was merely a consciousness descending. Even if one died in battle, their consciousness would only return. First place in the ranking battle and second place in the survival battle of the Calm Sea Prefecture, Dongbo? In the distance, a deity frowned when he saw Dongbo Shuiying. He immediately flew off in another direction. Clearly, Dongbo Shuiying was ranked at the very front of the 1,900 deities. Only those who grasped grade 1 deity hearts could suppress him. Star. Chapter 468. The mountain range stretched on endlessly. Dongbo Shuiying swept his gaze across the area. Including himself, there were a total of 3 deity experts within the range of this mountain range. Everyone was maintaining a sufficient distance from each other. Weapons began to condense from the soil and rocks of the mountain. Sabers, swords, staffs, whips, spears, hammers, axes, all of these weapons were merely top-grade deity-ranked weapons. With a wave of his hand, Dongbo Shuiying summoned a storage treasure, 3 spears and a large number of pikes. He easily refined the storage treasure and put away the spears and pikes, leaving behind a new spear in his hand. In truth, Dongbo Shuiying's mirage body was already extremely tough, and the weapons it could transform into were more than enough for him to use. The 2 deity experts in the distance also chose their own weapons and waited silently. Since they dared to stay here, they had something to rely on to protect themselves. The Bloodshed God Palace battle does not restrict you by any means. Your final ranking will be determined by the number of venomous insects you kill. A majestic voice resounded in the ears of every deity expert. Only 100 will be able to attend the Myriad Flower Feast and enjoy the Myriad Flower True Fruit. These 100 will definitely be accepted as disciples by powerful existences. As for those ranked after the 100th place, it will depend on luck. High up in the sky above the mountain range, a gigantic blood-colored list suddenly appeared. Your ranking will be displayed on the list at all times. The list will change according to the number of venomous insects you kill. You can take a good look and know your own ranking, the majestic voice said. The Bloodshed God Palace battle will now begin. As soon as the voice finished, almost every mountain in the mountain range began to surge with energy, causing the mountain range to tremble. Dongbo Shuiying and the 2 experts around him stared intently at the movements of this mountain range. All they saw was a violet mist slowly condensing from one of the caves on this mountain range, eventually forming a violet venomous insect about the size of a millstone. This venomous insect had a tough outer shell, and its compound eyes scanned its surroundings. Then, with a flap of its wings, it instantly disappeared. Shua. 3 starry blue-robed Dongbu Shuiying and a skinny swordsman appeared at almost the same time, and an arrow tore through the air. All of them missed their target. However, the arrow streaked across the void and collided with the purple venomous bug in the void cracked thousands of miles away. Both of them appeared in the real world. The arrow hit the purple poisonous insect's shell, and cracks appeared on the shell. The arrow fell down. On the other hand, the outer shell of the poisonous insect was gradually recovering. What a powerful poisonous insect! Dongbu Shuiying, the skinny swordsman, and the huge man who shot the arrow from afar were all shocked. That huge man was called Wuxia, and he came from the famous Bamboo Mountain Prefecture. In the survival battle of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture, Wuxia was ranked 19th. His archery was extremely powerful, and although it was not his ultimate move, it was still very powerful. Unexpectedly, he only managed to leave a crack on the venomous insect's shell. So south. The 3 Dongbu Shuiyings disappeared at the same time, reappearing next to the purple venomous bug in the distance. Their 3 spears carried a world-destroying might as they executed the chaotic suppression, which was powered by the great chaotic true force. In an instant, the surrounding space started to collapse. The venomous insect wanted to escape, but it could not. It could only face this terrifying encirclement. Peng, 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 the spears either struck the venomous insect's claws, abdomen, or directly on its shell. The venomous insect immediately let out an ear-piercing howl of pain. The howl created a shockwave that spread in all directions. The 3 mirage bodies all felt an intense pain in their ears, and they felt slightly dizzy. Fortunately, they had the time immemorial body, so they were able to endure it. Rip! A terrifying sword light suddenly appeared from the side, piercing through the venomous purple insect's head. However, it only managed to pierce through halfway before the skinny swordsman immediately pulled out his sword and retreated. This was because the 3 Dongbu Shuiyings had simultaneously waved their spears and swept them towards him. He's really fast at escaping. The 3 Dongbu Shuiyings glanced at him. They then continued to attack the venomous purple insect. This Dongbu is really strong. These venomous insects are really hard to kill. It's very difficult for the 2 of us to ambush and kill these venomous insects first. The skinny swordsman frowned from afar. The bow-wielding giant, Wuxia, also frowned. Dongbu's mirage heart of God heart has already reached an unimaginable level. His real body is hiding in the mirage and we can't even find it. The 3 bodies that are fighting outside are all mirage bodies. Even if we could kill them, it would be pointless. Even if the mirage bodies die, they can quickly reform. Yes, I have no way of killing this venomous insect. The skinny swordsman turned around and instantly disappeared. The giant, Wuxia, was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he watched from afar. At the same time, he had already drawn his godly bow and knocked 3 arrows. In the distance, the 3 Shuiyings were frantically attacking the venomous bug. The venomous bug's defense was extremely strong, and under its all-out attack, its carapace began to gradually shatter. Only then did blood begin to seep out of its body. It was still madly howling as it fought against the 3 Shuiyings. Occasionally, it would shoot out a poisonous needle from its mouth. The attack was fast and sudden, and even the mirage body, with its tyrannical strength, would be pierced through. The poison was extremely potent, but the mirage body itself had no fear. It easily dispersed and condensed, repelling the poisonous needle. Right now. The giant, Wuxia's eyes lit up. Xiu xiu xiu. The 3 arrows were like 3 dazzling meteors. They drew 3 arcs in the air and instantly appeared around the venomous purple insect. Clang clang clang. The 3 Dongbu Shuiying's bodies would rather use their bodies to block the venomous insect's attack than to wield their spears to block the 3 arrows. With Dongbu Shuiying's mastery of the mirage and space as well as the profoundness of his spear arts, it was not difficult for him to block the 3 arrows. The power of these arrows is really strong. The 3 Dongbu Shuiying's bodies staggered from the impact. The venomous purple insect seized the opportunity to escape. South, the 3 Dongbu Shuiyings immediately chased after it. He would rather ignore the venomous insect and block my attack? The giant, Wuxia, frowned. If it was any other deity expert, they would not be able to ignore the venomous insect. However, the mirage bodies would allow the venomous insect to attack freely. Forget it, forget it. I'll let him have this place. The giant Wuxia's figure moved. Instantly, he turned into a dazzling beam of light. His speed was extremely fast, and with a flash he disappeared into the void. Both he and the skinny swordsman were experts in speed. That was why they dared to compete with Dongbo Shuiying. Peng, peng, peng. With the coordination of various spear arts, the venomous insect's head was pierced through. However, the venomous insect did not die, and continued its frenzied counterattack. Pooh! The carapace was completely shattered. A spear pierced through the venomous insect's body, and with a violent shake, the venomous insect's tattered body shattered. Only then did the venomous insect die. What a fellow! Killing a venomous insect took me 10 breaths of time? Dongbo Shuiying was also speechless. He raised his head and looked at the huge blood-red board in the sky. There were already 65 names on it, and Dongbo Shuiying was ranked 65th. The entire sky above the Bloodshed God Palace was filled with illusory images of mountains, deity experts, and the incomparably huge blood-red board. Within the Bloodshed God Palace, everyone could see the Bloodshed God Palace battle when they raised their heads. His Majesty, the God Emperor, and the other Almighties were all chatting as they watched the scene unfold. Many of the world deities in the Bloodshed God Palace, such as the White Sand City Lord and King Ronghai, as well as other world deities who had come from all over the world, as well as some deities like the Xia clan deities and Jingqiu, were all looking up. Quick look. The Xia people looked at the huge blood-red board excitedly. There are only 65 names on the board, and Dongbo's name is already on it. The Bloodshed God Palace battle has only just begun, the old man Purple Thunder Emperor said. The old man, the Purple Thunder Emperor, said, the further it goes, the crueler it will be. Deity-level experts will even kill each other. Given Dongbo's strength, he should be able to participate in the Myriad Flower Feast and enjoy a Myriad Flower True Fruit, Yunhai said. They all looked on expectantly. Chapter 469. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was still ongoing. 6 deities were currently attacking a black venomous bug. The surrounding space would occasionally crumble and collapse, and at other times, it would be sliced apart. The 6 deities were using all their strength to attack. The black venomous bug roared and struggled, but its injuries were clearly worsening. Finally, a thin sword pierced through its body, and fresh blood splattered everywhere. The venomous bug finally stopped struggling, and the other 5 deities hurriedly attacked a few more times. Following that, the 6 of them raised their heads to look at the huge blood-colored board in the sky. A new name had appeared on the 191st place. Haha, everyone, my luck is good. My final move just so happened to kill this venomous bug. A tall and skinny man wielding 2 swords laughed. Only by working together can we hope to enter the top 100. If we were to act alone, we would probably all be ranked outside the top 500. Right now, brother and I is ranked 15th, and I'm in the top 200. Alright, stop being so smug. The 4 of us aren't even on the board yet. The venomous bug killing test was based on the person who executed the final move, so the credit for killing the venomous bug would go to that person. Let's continue. I refuse to believe that my luck will always be so bad. Again. The 6 of them continued searching for venomous bugs. In midair, 3 mountains away from them, Shuiying was also searching for venomous insects. He glanced into the distance and saw the 6 deities working together to kill a single venomous insect. These deities who are slightly weaker than me probably know that they won't be able to enter the top 100 if they act alone, so they decided to team up and work together? I need to avoid them. Dongbo Shuiying was vigilant of his surroundings. He needed to be vigilant against groups of deities, as well as deities with grade 1 deity hearts. Otherwise he would be eliminated prematurely if he was killed. According to the records in every Bloodshed God Palace Myriad Flower Feast, it was common for powerful deities to be ganged up on and killed. No matter how carefully he avoided them, how fast were the deities? Boom, boom, boom. Just as the 3 Dongbo Shuiyings were attacking a venomous bug, the surrounding space suddenly distorted. A group of figures flickered twice before arriving at the mountain range where Dongbo Shuiying was. There were a total of 8 deities in this group. He's Dongbo of the Calm Sea Prefecture. Kill him. Kill? The 8 deity-level experts attacked without hesitation. One of them, who was wearing a gray robe, stretched out both of his hands. Instantly, the world around him fell into an endless quagmire. Formless ripples spread everywhere. It was hard to see with the naked eye. However, be it the mirage, the shadow world, or the real world, everything was penetrated. Even though his real body was hiding in the mirage, it was still affected. The shocked Dongbo Shuang. His true body is here. Out of all these deity realm experts, only this gray-robed man was able to discover Dongbo Shui Ying's true body. He easily destroyed Dongbo Shui Ying's concealment. Kill! A thunderous saber light flashed across the sky, piercing through the mirage and arriving in front of Dongbo Shui Ying's real body. Descend. Countless white silk nets wrapped around Dongbo Shui Ying. Extinguish. Dazzling light gathered from all directions, converging towards Dongbo Shui Ying. All of a sudden, all of them unleashed their attacks. Shua. Dongbo Shui Ying was so frightened that he immediately switched his body and appeared in front of one of his mirage bodies. With the help of the mirage bodies, Dongbo Shui Ying quickly changed his body and fled at high speed. Moreover, it was hard to determine his whereabouts. After all, the location of the mirage bodies was purely a thought of Dongbo Shui Ying. Over there, over there, over there. Although the gray-robed man could sense the changes in Dongbo Shui Ying's body, the others were unable to keep up with his attacks. In the end, they could only watch as Dongbo Shui Ying escaped. This Dongbo's mirage secret skill is indeed powerful. It won't be easy to kill him. Forget it, let's get rid of this poisonous bug first. The 8 figures stood in midair and glanced at the fleeing Dongbo Shui Ying. Following which, the 8 of them surrounded the poisonous bug that Dongbo Shui Ying had injured. They did not have full confidence in this sneak attack. It would be a good thing if they could kill it. Even if they failed, they would still be able to kill a poisonous bug. After running for more than 10 mountains, Dongbo Shui Ying finally stopped. He turned his head and looked back. He couldn't help but feel helpless. My real body is hidden in the mirage. Although not many people can discover it, those who came to participate in this battle are all very powerful. I'm afraid 1 out of 10 people will be able to discover my real body. The Mirage realm was indeed powerful. However, it was not unsolvable. For example, the gray-robed man had cultivated the Minute Divinity Heart to an extremely high level and created his own domain-type secret skill. This domain was able to decipher his surroundings at the level of minute particles. Even if Dongbo Shui Ying hid in the mirage, he would not be able to escape the detection of the domain. Other than that, secret skills that contained the profound mysteries of spacetime could also be deciphered. There were also other deity experts. Dongbo Shui Ying had already discovered quite a few who could discover his real body. After all, those who came to participate in this battle had all cultivated to an extremely high level. Even if they could not defeat him, there were still quite a few who could discover his real body. There's no helping it. I can only be more careful. Dongbo Shui Ying discovered that a new poisonous bug was being born in a cave far away. He immediately rushed over. With his current strength, he was in an awkward position. Those who were too strong, such as those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, were unstoppable. Those who were too weak knew that they had no hope of surviving alone. Hence, they would band together and even swear an oath that they would not betray each other. Only those who relied on their own strength. Usually they were not willing to band together. This was because the efficiency of searching for poisonous bugs when working together was the same as working alone. As for killing the poisonous bugs, how would they split the profits? Equally? That was not beneficial to either side. How despicable. They actually worked together to kill my master. Sigh, my master did not manage to escape. Quick, run. Big Brother was actually killed by a group of them. He escaped. That was close. The countless living beings watching the battle in the Bloodshed God Palace raised their heads to look at the gigantic mountain range in the sky. As they watched the battles unfold, they were all extremely nervous. Many of those who participated in the battle moved in groups. As for those who were especially confident in themselves, they chose to act alone. If they acted alone, the venomous bugs would belong to them, but if they acted in groups, the venomous bugs would belong to someone else. In terms of efficiency, acting alone was naturally much more efficient. However, there were quite a few powerful ones who ended up being surrounded and killed. Interesting. Look at that little guy. He sure is crafty. That tall guy with the great axe. His self-created secret movement technique is pretty good. The powerful existences were leisurely watching the battle. As for those who acted alone but ended up being surrounded and killed, the powerful existences did not feel wronged. After all, they had chosen their own path and they were especially confident in themselves. Even if they were surrounded and killed, they could only admit defeat. Dongbo, hurry, that was close. What's so close about that? With Dongbo's strength, how could he be surrounded and killed so easily? The deities of the Xia people, Jingqiu, and the rest were also watching nervously. Every time they saw Dongbo Shuiying being chased by a group of deities, their hearts would tighten. Although it was dangerous to act alone, one venomous bug after another was killed by him. The number of kills by Dongbo Shuiying continued to rise. On the gigantic blood-colored ranking board, Dongbo Shuiying's name was also rising. 52nd, 39th, 33rd, 25th, 19th. After all, Dongbo Shuiying's strength had always been relatively strong. Apart from those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, the other deities did not have much of an advantage over him. As long as he survived, his ranking would naturally rise. He's at the 15th place. The White Sand City Lord, who was drinking with King Ronghai and watching the battle, also raised his head. This Dongbo might be able to enter the top 10. The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed. He was too busy during the new year. He only finished writing after a short nap at night. Star. Chapter 470. As his ranking continued to rise, Dongbo Shuiying felt that it was only natural. After all, even though he was ranked 65th at the start, many of the people at the very front had only managed to kill the venomous insects by luck when they teamed up. Those fellows could not possibly always be the one to kill the venomous insects at the very last moment. If he were to always be the one to kill the venomous insects, perhaps even his teammates would take the initiative to leave. The 1,900 people who can enter the final Bloodshed God Palace battle have very small differences in strength. If 5, 6, or even 8 or 9 of them work together, only those with a grade 1 deity heart would be able to stop them. Dongbo Shuiying shook his head. Furthermore, when a group of them work together, they specialize in different aspects and can even complement each other, making them even more threatening. Right now, the only thing I can do is to do my best to survive. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was never meant to select the strongest 100. Instead, it was meant to select those who could kill the most venomous insects under the same rules. This was a test of every deity expert's decision. South Dongbo Shuiying traversed the vast mountain range again and again. As time passed, the rate at which venomous insects were born gradually increased. However, Dongbo Shuiying continued to ensure his own safety before killing the venomous insects. As a result, his ranking did not rise at all, hovering around the 15th position. His cautiousness coupled with his comprehension of the laws of profound mysteries allowed Dongbo Shuiying to continue living in this mountain range despite the deaths and elimination of deity experts. There's really no threat at all. As he traversed the mountain range, the white-haired and white-browed Jianghu waved his hand, condensing a huge golden palm in midair. It directly pressed down on a venomous insect that was trying to escape, instantly shattering it. Originally, I didn't want to expose myself so early in the Kamsi Prefecture. I wanted to struggle for a while in the Bloodshed God Palace battle before revealing myself at the most crucial moment. It would be best if I could assassinate someone with a grade 1 deity heart. Unfortunately, because of that Dongbo, I was exposed early on. Now, anyone who sees me would avoid me as much as possible. Jianghu muttered to himself. Beneath his white brows, his cold gaze swept across his surroundings. Furthermore, there's an invisible barrier at the edge of every mountain range that prevents domains from penetrating through. Grade 1 deity heart. If he wanted to, he could cover 100 million miles with a single thought, covering the entire mountain range where the Bloodshed God Palace battle was taking place. In that case, they who grasped a grade 1 deity heart would be able to wantonly slaughter them. After all, no matter how he tried to flee, he wouldn't be able to escape from the law domain. However, His Majesty God Emperor would never allow such a thing to happen. If they wantonly massacred people with grade 1 deity hearts, then the Bloodshed God Palace battle would be meaningless. For example, Dongbo Shuiying, Drunk Guest, and some other talented seedlings, in the eyes of His Majesty and the other almighty beings, had much more potential than Jianghu and the others. That's. Jianghu looked into the distance and saw 3 young men in starry blue robes holding spears attacking a poisonous insect 7 mountains away. Dongbo. The corner of Jianghu's mouth curled up. What a coincidence. Even though I've killed over 30 deity experts in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, none of them makes me happier than you, Dongbo. Following that, Jianghu's figure disappeared without a trace. With his current realm, he was able to conceal himself stealthily. Only when he moved from one mountain to another would the invisible barrier force him to reveal himself. However, as long as he passed through the barrier, he would vanish without a trace. Stealthily, using the mountains to obstruct his line of sight and the laws of profound mysteries to distort his line of sight, Jianghu gradually approached. Being able to survive until now, Dongbo Shuiying was naturally extremely careful. However, due to the invisible barrier set up by His Majesty, his mirage perception and spatial perception could only probe the range of one mountain at most. He was unable to penetrate into another mountain. As for further away, he could only rely on his eyes to see. Naturally, he failed to notice Jioshi's approach. Accompanied by an ear-piercing cry of unwillingness, the poisonous insect shattered and died. Another one down. Dongbo Shuiying raised his head and glanced at the huge blood-colored board in the sky. Previously, he had fallen to the 17th position. After killing this poisonous insect, he rose to the 15th position. This was normal. Clearly, there was a group of people with strength comparable to Dongbo Shuiying who were still alive and hunting poisonous insects. Dongbo Shuiying abruptly turned his head to look. Far to his left, the edge of the mountain was still empty. However, Dongbo Shuiying could clearly sense a figure there. It was a white-robed, white-haired, white-browed figure. When he passed through the edge, Jiushi could at most distort his line of sight. However, at Dongbo Shuiying's level, just distorting his line of sight was impossible to hide under the laws of profound mysteries. Jiushi. Dongbo Shuiying was shocked. This was the first time he met someone with a grade 1 deity heart. These people who grasped a grade 1 deity heart were far stronger than them. Thus they could kill as they wished. Jiushi was incomparably tyrannical. He was clear that he wouldn't be able to hide the moment he entered the edge of the mountain. With a wave of his hand, a huge golden palm condensed in mid-air. This golden palm directly pressed down on Dongbo Shuiying's true body. Even if he hid in the mirage, it was useless against Jiushi. Shua shua shua. The moment Dongbo Shuiying discovered Jiushi, he instinctively transformed his body. 3 mirage bodies instantly appeared at 3 different edges of the mountain. When that golden palm pressed down on Dongbo Shuiying's true body, his true body had already switched with the mirage bodies. Break. Jiushi frowned. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. Boom boom boom, every corner of the mountain felt a terrifying pressure. Even though Dongbo Shuiying's true body had already switched to a mirage body and was about to pass through the edge, the terrifying pressure had already descended upon him. But at this moment, that terrifying suppression had already descended. It covered every single area. No matter where Shuiying could move his body, as long as he did not leave the region of the mountain, he would definitely be hit. Careful. Snow Eagle. The deities of the Xia people, Jingqiu and the rest watched nervously. Because they could only see with their naked eyes, Jioshi's vision was distorted even when he passed through the edge. Thus, they were unable to discover Jioshi's figure. However, they had been paying attention to Dongbo Shuiying. Thus, they also noticed the sudden appearance of that huge golden palm. Following that, the entire mountain began to crumble. Why would someone who grasps a grade 1 deity heart resort to such a treacherous sneak attack? The White Sand City Lord was somewhat annoyed. It was one thing to casually kill a random person, but to resort to such a treacherous sneak attack. That was too much. The terrifying suppression caused every single location within the range of the mountain to be annihilated. Shuiying's true body could only feel the terrifying energy crazily permeating into his body. It was frantically tearing at his body, wanting to tear it into pieces. His time immemorial body could feel pain all over his body, but his body was still intact. Clearly, he had withstood the pressure of the domain. I didn't die? I withstood it? Dongbo Shuiying could not be bothered to think too much. He instantly charged past the edge of the mountain and entered the range of another mountain. So. He continued to flee, and in a single breath, he had already traversed tens of mountains. Even this didn't kill him? Jiushi revealed his true body. His white brows fluttered downwards, and a hint of anger could be seen in his eyes. At least he escaped fast enough. One must know. In the end, Jiushi had only grasped a grade 1 deity heart, and had yet to open an inner world to become a world deity. What he displayed was merely a domain formed from the laws of profound mysteries. It was a large-scale attack, so it was naturally weaker against a single target. Moreover, the time immemorial body excelled in survival. At the 3rd level of the time immemorial body, even a true stage 1 world deity would at most be heavily injured by a world deity domain. Only a serious attack could kill such an opponent. Naturally, Jiushi would find it hard to succeed with just a law domain. Was there a need? With a grade 1 deity heart, he would definitely be ranked amongst the top. Was there a need to sneak attack me? Dongbo Shuiying was somewhat annoyed. If not for the fact that I can't reveal my world deity heart for now, would I be afraid of you? A grade 1 deity heart was indeed a suppressive force against them. But in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, everyone descended with their consciousnesses. Even if they died in battle, only their consciousnesses would be expelled. Under such circumstances, the top few would definitely have grasped a grade 1 deity heart. Why bother with people like them who were risking their lives to fight for a higher ranking? Sneak attack? Forget it. A person who cultivated for 6 million years only to grasp a grade 1 deity heart is only SOSO. Dongbua Shuiying was very clear that he would soon leave Jiushi in the dust. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was getting more and more desperate. Apart from those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, the other deities were fighting with their lives on the line. Moreover, as the rate at which the venomous insects were born increased, the threat posed by the venomous insects increased as well. The rate at which deities were dying was also increasing. More than 1,500 have already died. There are only 300 or so left. I reckon that this is the final battle. The next battle will be even more interesting. Many of the spectating world deities understood what was about to happen. At the highest point of the Bloodshed God Palace, the Myriad Flower Feast, the Bloodshed God Emperor was seated high above. He smiled and said, "The Bloodshed God Palace battle has eliminated only 300 participants. It's about time we give them their deity weapons. Once we give them their deity weapons, the slaughter will be even faster." The other powerful existences were all watching the battle from afar. The Bloodshed God Emperor waved his hand, causing 30 blood-colored streams of light to fly out. They flew directly towards the distant chain of mountains. Star. Chapter 471. There were still 325 deities left in the mountain range. They all raised their heads and saw 30 dazzling streaks of blood-colored light descending upon different regions of the mountain range like meteors. The descent of the deity weapons. It's the deity weapons. Quick, quick, quick. This is our last chance. We must snatch the deity weapons. For a moment, all the deity experts were rushing toward the blood-colored stream of light closest to them. Even the 7 experts who had revealed their grade 1 deity hearts were doing their best to snatch it. Shuiying also immediately entered the mirage and rushed toward a certain direction. The entire Bloodshed God Palace battle could be divided into 2 stages. The first stage was before the descent of the deity weapons. The second stage was the later stage. The places where the 30 bloody slaughter deity weapons landed are all at the bottom of the rankings. The White Sand City Lord raised his head and sighed. Master has truly put in a lot of effort to give those at the bottom a chance to struggle. What effort? Isn't it just to make the Bloodshed God Palace battle more interesting and unpredictable? King Ronghai laughed. Brother White Sand, you always flatter His Majesty when it comes to matters. Unfortunately, His Majesty has yet to allow you to return to his tutelage. The White Sand City Lord immediately said with a solemn expression, "Of course I want to return to Master's tutelage. However, I have committed a grave mistake. I am already grateful that Master did not kill me. Furthermore, I am not flattering you. With Master's strength, there is no need for him to give these deity experts a chance to shine." Yet, he still held a banquet and gave these deity experts a chance to soar into the sky and even enjoy the myriad flower true fruit. This is a gift. All right. Let's not talk about it anymore. Marshal Qin and the others stopped talking. As long as His Majesty Bloodblade was involved, the White Sand City Lord would never say no. He had always wanted to return to His Majesty's tutelage. Unfortunately, His Majesty had expelled him back then. How could he change his mind so easily? The deity weapons will land too far away from Dongbua. I'm afraid we won't be able to snatch them. The deities of the Xia people and Jingqiu watched nervously. Based on the previous Bloodshed God Palace battles, the Bloody Massacre deity weapons will always land near the weaker deity experts. The Purple Thunder Emperor said, "This Bloody Slaughter God weapon was personally refined by His Majesty, and its power is extraordinary. Anyone who participates in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, including those with grade 1 deity hearts, will definitely die if they are injured by this Bloody Slaughter God weapon. With this divine weapon, my strength will be different. Bloody Kill Divine Weapon." Although Dongbua Shuiying was rushing over at high speed, he was still too far away. There were 15 people who were closer to him, and all of them were traveling at an extremely fast speed. In just an instant they had already passed through a tall mountain. Dongbua Shuiying could only watch on as a black-armored man stretched out his hand and grabbed a red round rock that was at the waist of the mountain. The moment he grabbed it, the red round rock rapidly transformed into a blood-colored longsword. Ha ha ha. The black-armored man was overjoyed as he held the blood-colored long sword. "I finally obtained it. With this bloody slaughter god weapon I might be ranked in the top 500, but I still have hope of entering the top 100. He swept his gaze across his surroundings. 5 of the deity experts had already slowed down. "Congratulations. I didn't expect you to be one step ahead of us. Let's go." The 5 deity experts turned and left. Because they were originally in the same team as the black-armored man, they had long since sworn an oath not to harm each other. Without that oath, how could they move together without worry? Now that the black-armored man had snatched the bloody slaughter god weapon, the 5 of them could only choose to leave. Go. Surround and kill him. Snatch the bloody slaughter god weapon. The 5 turned and left, but the other deity experts quickly rushed over, wanting to snatch it. The black-armored man laughed coldly. "Come at me if you're not afraid of death." With a single step, he teleported away, even passing through the edge of the mountain. With another step, he arrived beside a venomous bug. With a flash of his sword, the purple beetle's originally tough shell was immediately cut open. The black-armored man did not stop and quickly left. The purple beetle struggled in midair for a while, then directly fell down, completely dissipating as it returned to the mountain. With a single move, the purple beetle was killed. It could be said that with the bloody slaughter god weapon in hand, no one would dare to touch it with their body. "I must snatch the bloody slaughter god weapon." Dongbua Shuiying rapidly closed in. The bloody slaughter god weapon is too powerful. Even the venomous bugs were killed with a single move. At this rate, I can easily enter the top 100. Although I'm currently ranked 16th, if I'm eliminated early, the rankings of the others will continue to rise, and they might even surpass me one by one. Without the bloody slaughter god weapon, it would be very difficult to maintain a top 100 ranking. As for snatching the bloody slaughter god weapon, even if he was surrounded and killed, his ranking would still be very high. Surround and attack. Go. Don't let him escape. The deities in front of him had already made their move. An azure chain streaked across the sky, followed by countless more azure chains, all of which wrapped around the fleeing black-armored man. The black-armored man's expression changed slightly. "Your survival abilities are too weak. You won't be able to protect the bloody slaughter god weapon." Another majestic voice rang out, and black flying discs appeared in the surroundings. Countless black flying discs surrounded the black-armored man. "Die." A purple beam of light instantly pierced through everything, arriving in front of the black-armored man. The bloody slaughter god weapon was indeed powerful. But at the very least, it had to touch the enemy's body. Currently, these deities were either using powerful techniques that they had come up with, or they were using their weapons from afar. None of them could get close. These pursuers all worked together to attack the black-armored man first. "You want to kill me?" The black-armored man growled savagely. His movement technique was erratic, and at the same time, the blood-colored blade in his hand suddenly expanded to over 5,000 kilometers in length. Shwa shwa shwa. This black-armored man's blade techniques were extremely powerful. For a moment, the surrounding area was filled with blood-colored blade lights, forcing the surrounding deities to evade and maintain their distance. The fact that the black-armored man was able to survive until now showed that his strength was not too far off from theirs. He also had a world deity secret technique, so even if he was struck by 2 or 3 moves, he would not immediately die. However, if the other deities were to be touched by this blood-colored blade, they would definitely die. While resisting, the black-armored man fled. He wanted to shake off the pursuing deities. Not good. The black-armored man suddenly saw a figure chasing after him. As the figure passed through the mountain, he could clearly see it. It's the Kamsi Prefecture's Dongbua. That was because 5 deities had given up and left at the start. Thus, there were only 12 of them, including Dongbua Shuiying, who were chasing after the black-armored man. Due to the distance, Dongbua Shuiying and the rest were unable to catch up to him. Thus, there were only 7 of them. 7 deities surrounded the black-armored man, and none of them dared to engage in close combat. Instead, they attacked from afar, and they could only display 60 to 70% of their strength. And with the bloody slaughter deity weapon wreaking havoc, all of them had to be extremely careful, so the amount of strength they could unleash was even less. In addition, this was the first time they had teamed up to attack, so they weren't able to coordinate perfectly. Naturally, they were unable to do anything to the black-armored man. Not good. The black-armored man tried his best to escape. Dongbua Shuiying posed a much greater threat than the other 7. Although any one of the other 7 was comparable to Dongbua Shuiying, none of them dared to get close to him. But Dongbua Shuang dared to do so. With his 3 mirage bodies he had nothing to fear. Without the deity weapon, Dongbua Shuang posed a much greater threat. Unfortunately, the black-armored man wanted to escape, but the other 7 joined forces to obstruct him. Shwa shwa shwa. Dongbua Shuang was finally within the same mountain range as the black-armored man. With a thought, 3 starry blue-robed youths appeared beside the black-armored man. Pu piu piu. Blade lights and spear shadows flashed. The mirage bodies were not real bodies, and even if they were damaged they could recover instantly. Dongbua Shuang was able to unleash his full strength perfectly. The 3 mirage bodies did not care about defense at all, and they attacked in a frenzy. In an instant they suppressed the black-armored man, and a spear pierced through his abdomen. If not for Jiao Shi, Dongbua Shuang would have been number 1 in the Kamsi prefecture. The black-armored man was the closest to the deity weapon. Evidently the blood blade considered him to be the weakest. In the Kamsi prefecture, the black-armored man was probably ranked 30th. Since the deity weapon was useless against the mirage bodies, he was naturally suppressed in a one-on-one fight. We can't let Dongbua snatch it away from us. The other 7 deities were all anxious. They understood that the black-armored man would not be able to escape, but they had to stop Dongbua Shuang at all costs. After all, the moment Dongbua Shuang managed to snatch it, the threat he posed would be much higher than the black-armored man. At this time there were still 4 deities closing in on him. Let's join forces. The 4 deities transmitted their voices. They were clearly anxious as well. If Dongbua Shuang managed to snatch it away, it would be extremely difficult to snatch it back. Chapter 472. Alright, let's work together. Stop Dongbua of the Kamsi prefecture. The 11 deity experts chose to work together without hesitation. Everyone could see that if they did not, Dongbua Shuang would be able to successfully snatch the bloody slaughter deity weapon. A green-haired woman dressed in a long robe looked at Dongbua Shuang from afar, her eyes emitting a cold green light. Her lips moved slightly. Everyone, Dongbua's real body is over there. At the same time, sound waves began to sweep through the surroundings, converging at the center of which was Dongbua Shuang's real body hidden in the mirage. Dongbua Shuang felt an ear-piercing and uncomfortable sound drilling into his mind, causing it to buzz incessantly. A sound wave attack. There are so many experts in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, and the Mirage Deity Heart is famous for being good at assassination. Aside from not using the World Deity Heart, I've already pushed the Mirage Deity Heart's concealment to its limits, but I was still discovered. Although the sound waves were powerful, his time immemorial body was much more resilient and could completely resist them. It did not affect his control over the 3 Mirage avatars. The 3 Mirage avatars disregarded their own safety and continued to attack. The black-armored man's abdomen was pierced by a spear, but his eyes were filled with anger and unwillingness. Being pierced by a spear was not life-threatening. If Dongbua Shuang really wanted to kill his opponent, he would probably need at least 10 or 20 spear strikes. But being pierced in the abdomen made him realize that he had no hope of keeping the bloody slaughter deity weapon. If he continued to resist, there would only be one ending for him: death and elimination. Dongbua, if I can't get it, then don't even think about getting it. The black-armored man roared ferociously. With a sudden wave of his hand, the blood-colored saber in his hand pierced through space and appeared near the 6 deity experts thousands of kilometers away. Dongbua Shuang was stunned. Admirable. The 3 Dongbua Shuang glanced at the black-armored man before disappearing at the same time, reappearing thousands of kilometers away. There, the other 6 deity experts had already begun fighting over the weapon. Are you impressed? The black-armored man stood in mid-air. At this moment, no one was surrounding him. He sighed softly. What a pity that I met the Kamsi prefecture's Dongbo. His mirage body isn't his true body, so he's not afraid of the bloody slaughter deity weapon at all. Swoosh. The black-armored man quickly retreated to the edge of the mountain and watched the battle from afar. He was waiting for an opportunity. If Dongbua Shuang died, he would still be able to continue fighting. Dongbua Shuang did not feel any hatred towards his opponents. Everyone was just trying to get into the top 100. Once they got into the top 100, they would definitely be taken in as a disciple by a powerful existence, and they would even be able to obtain a myriad flower true fruit. Since the black-armored man chose to give up, Dongbua Shuang naturally left him. Be careful of Dongbua. We can't let him get it. The 6 Deity Realm experts as well as the other 5 Deity Realm experts in the distance, all wanted to snatch the Bloody Massacre deity weapon, but they were wary of Dongbo Shuiying. In terms of combat power, Dongbo Shuiying was one of the best amongst them. His advantage wasn't so great that he could suppress him. It was just that his mirage body posed too much of a threat when it came to snatching the Bloody Massacre deity weapon. Dongbo Shuiying gave it a try. One of the swordsmen was able to casually block the attacks of 2 of his mirage bodies with a single sword. There were also the other deity realm experts obstructing him, causing Dongbo Shuiying to have no hope at all. They might be afraid of Dongbo, but I'm not. As long as I can get my hands on the Bloody Massacre deity weapon, I'll be able to swiftly attack his true body. The green-robed lady was also attacking from afar, looking for an opportunity to snatch the Bloody Massacre deity weapon. Shwa shwa shwa. 3 starry blue-robed youths appeared at the same time. You. The green-robed lady was shocked. Since you were able to discover me, I'll send you out. The 3 Dongbo Shuiying said with a smile. For a moment, their spears danced in the air as they attacked madly. The green-robed lady immediately tried to defend herself. However, against the 3 mirage bodies that didn't care about defense, she was instantly at a disadvantage. She hurriedly transmitted her voice to the others. Quick, help me block Dongbo. Once I die, none of you will be able to discover Dongbo's true body. At that time, he can easily conceal his true body and use his mirage body to deal with all of you. Other than the 2 deity realm experts who were using their spells to restrain Dongbo Shui from afar, no one else came to stop them. It's useless. The Bloody Massacre deity weapon has already fallen into the hands of one person. They are all trying to snatch it. If they come over to restrain me, I'm afraid that the person who obtained the Bloody Massacre deity weapon will be able to escape. The 3 Dongbo Shuiying said at the same time. At the same time, their spears pierced into the green-robed lady's shoulder. Although I'm a huge threat, they have to get rid of the expert who obtained the deity weapon first. Damn it. Damn it. The green-robed lady gritted her teeth in anger. Her shoulder exploded and fresh blood splattered everywhere. She understood. Dongbo Shuiying's words were right. The Bloody Massacre deity weapon was too attractive. Everyone had to stop the person who obtained the deity weapon. Otherwise, once the person escaped, it would be hard to get it back. I admit defeat. I give up. The green-robed lady said anxiously. Pu piu piu, pung. A spear pierced into her chest, causing the heavily injured green-robed lady's body to explode. She immediately dissipated into nothingness. She had been eliminated. What a pity. I don't dare to believe you. The 3 Dongbo Shuiyings turned their heads at the same time. In the distance, the man wielding the blood-red scimitar was fighting with all his might. The other deity realm experts were also attacking and snatching the deity weapon. Not good. Dongbo has already killed Qingqing. The others were shocked. Earlier they had planned to snatch the deity weapon and escape while Dongbo Shuiying and Qingqing were fighting. What a pity. You guys are slower than me. The 3 Dongbo Shuiyings laughed at the same time. Following which they disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already beside the man wielding the blood-red scimitar. No matter how many weapons were attacking them, the 3 Dongbo Shuiyings only focused on attacking the man wielding the blood-red scimitar, ignoring all other weapons. The green-robed lady was already dead. But now, none of these opponents had discovered his true body. Since Dongbo Shuiying's safety was no longer threatened, he was naturally willing to risk everything to snatch the deity weapon. Damn it, damn it. The man wielding the blood-red scimitar was extremely anxious. He was already having a hard time holding on. Now that he was surrounded by 3 Dongbo Shuiyings, he was starting to get hit. I don't want it anymore. You guys go snatch it. He immediately threw the blood-red scimitar in his hand. South, the 3 Dongbo Shuiyings followed suit. 2 of the Dongbo Shuiyings blocked the other deity experts, while the last Dongbo Shuiying's right hand reached out and grabbed the blood-red scimitar. The black-armored man was proficient in spatial techniques. He was able to throw the blood-red scimitar far away in an instant, and its trajectory was hard to track. However, this man wielding the scimitar was clearly weaker, allowing Dongbo Shuiying to lock onto its trajectory. Ha ha ha. As he grabbed the blood-red scimitar, he could immediately feel the terrifying power contained within it. This was a deity weapon personally forged by His Majesty. Even though it was of a lower quality, even a stage 1 world deity would die from a slight scratch. In Dongbo Shuiying's hands, the blood-red scimitar immediately transformed into a blood-red spear. The 3 Dongbo Shuiyings laughed out loud, each of them wielding a blood-red spear. 3 blood-red spears. For a moment, the other 10 deity experts could not tell which one was the real bloody kill deity weapon. Clearly, the Mirage deity heart had reached such a level that its ability to disguise itself was extremely high. Those who block me die. The 3 Dongbo Shui Yings looked around. The 10 deity experts looked at each other. Almost instantly they began to scatter and escape without hesitation. Dongbo, consider yourself lucky. Ruthless. Admirable. The black-armored man, who had been waiting for an opportunity, shook his head when he saw Dongbo Shuiying obtain the bloody kill deity weapon. Without hesitation he turned and rushed out of the mountain, leaving quickly. Now no one could find Dongbo Shuiying's real body. How could he fight against the 3 mirage bodies wielding the bloody kill deity weapon? They could not tell which one was the real bloody kill deity weapon. The mirage bodies did not need any defense. How could they fight? If they continued fighting, they would only be defeated by Dongbo Shuiying one by one. The chances of them snatching the deity weapon was very slim. The battle was intense. On Dongbo Shuiying's side, because Dongbo had a mirage body, and the other side could not find Dongbo Shuiying's real body, they retreated in the face of overwhelming odds. On the other hand, the other side was in a much more desperate situation. When one died, everyone would surround and attack the other who had obtained the bloody kill deity weapon. In the end, only one managed to escape. Just fighting for the bloody kill deity weapon. Over 80 deity experts had lost their lives in the mountain range. We got the bloody kill deity weapon. Dongbo, well done. The Xia people as well as Jingqiu raised their heads in excitement. TSK. My brother Dongbo is really amazing. The more dazzling he is and the younger he is, the more powerful existences will take notice of him. The White Sand City Lord drank his wine and praised, when the time comes, there will be more powerful existences willing to take him as a disciple. I really wonder which powerful existence my brother will take him as after the Bloodshed God Palace battle is over. Chapter 473. On the Myriad Flower Feast, the powerful existences were exchanging toasts and chatting while watching the Bloodshed God Palace battle. This kid named Dongbo only cultivated for 2,300 years or so, yet he already has such strength. If I give him some pointers, he will definitely be able to attain a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Moreover, even a fool would know how many grade 2 deity hearts he is proficient in. I can guide him to grasp the 4 grade 1 deity hearts of world, chaos, extremity, and spacetime. A tall and sturdy almighty with a huge head was beaming with joy as he watched. Furthermore, from the intelligence reports, his growth in his hometown, the Xia people's world, shows that he really values friendship and righteousness. The old ancestor, like this kind of disciple who values friendship and righteousness. Where else can I find such a good disciple? I have to think of a way to get my hands on him. This powerful being's name was Fierce Tyrant, but he was usually addressed as Forefather Fierce Tyrant. His background was not ordinary, and in terms of foundation he was much stronger than Chihua Laozu and Sacred Master Crimson Dust. Since Forefather Fierce Tyrant was a being from the Divine World, he was also one of the Fierce Five of the Divine World. One had to know that the leader of the 5 Banes of the Immortal World was one of the 3 Patriarchs, Pang Yi. The 5 Banes of the Immortal World took good care of one another. Besides that, Forefather Fierce Tyrant was rumored to have the worst comprehension ability of the Fierce Five. Back when he was a Stage 4 world deity, he had been captured by one of the 3 ancestors, the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, and used as a mount. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master had also imparted him a secret technique and guided him in his cultivation. Under the guidance of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, Forefather Fierce Tyrant had actually become an almighty expert. As a result, Forefather Fierce Tyrant had a strong backing. He was one of the 5 fierce beasts of the Divine World, and he was also the mount of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. Moreover, Forefather Fierce Tyrant was famous for his shielding of his disciples. Normally, almighty existences would allow their disciples to fight outside. Even if they died, they could only blame it on their own incompetence. However, Forefather Fierce Tyrant was too protective of his disciples, so when others heard that he was Forefather Fierce Tyrant's personal disciple, no one dared to provoke him. Because Forefather Fierce Tyrant would not care about his reputation and stand up for his personal disciple. However, it was precisely because Forefather Fierce Tyrant was overly protective of his disciples that he ended up becoming Stage 3 world deities despite having 5 personal disciples. There wasn't even a single Stage 4 world deity. With his reputation, Forefather Fierce Tyrant looked down on those with weaker talents. Those with extremely high innate talents would usually become the disciples of other powerful existences. Very few would choose to become the disciple of Forefather Fierce Tyrant because there was a rumor going around in the outside world. This Forefather Fierce Tyrant is too bad at teaching disciples. He hasn't even produced a stage 4 world deity. Back then, he became an almighty because of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master's guidance. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for him to become an almighty. Such a good disciple, I must get my hands on him. Forefather Fierce Tyrant stared at Dongbu Shuiying. Except for Forefather Fierce Tyrant. There were still quite a few who had their eyes on Dongbu Shuiying. These powerful existences were all very sharp, and they could all see through Dongbu Shuiying's potential. This was a good disciple who could become a stage 3 world deity with just a bit of nurturing, and even had a chance of becoming a stage 4 world deity. Manor Lord, Manor Lord. Forefather Fierce Tyrant started chatting with a man beside him. This man was dressed in a luxurious purple robe, and he was rather handsome. His eyes were long and narrow, and his gaze was as sharp as a blade. There was a faint crack in the center of his forehead, which contained a faint golden light. He looked at Forefather Fierce Tyrant and asked, "Fierce Tyrant, what's the matter?" Manor Lord. Forefather Fierce Tyrant immediately said, "Does Manor Lord intend to accept a disciple in this Bloodshed God Palace battle?" "I have no such plans." The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master's long and narrow eyes looked at Forefather Fierce Tyrant. "To me, accepting a disciple is meaningless. If I can take that step, I will be able to fight against God Emperor. If I can't, I will only stop here. As for accepting a disciple, it's completely useless." Forefather Fierce Tyrant nodded repeatedly. He had once served as a mount for the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, so he was very clear about how arrogant and domineering the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was not very enthusiastic about teaching disciples, and he would only accept one if he found one pleasing to the eye. "Even if Manor Lord doesn't want to accept a disciple, I do intend to. I fancy a little fellow and I really want to take him as a disciple. I feel that I can teach him to become a stage 4 world deity," Forefather Fierce Tyrant said. "You want to accept a disciple, but you came to me instead?" The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master looked at him, the corner of his mouth curling up. "What's the matter? Just say it." Forefather Fierce Tyrant laughed mischievously. "The Prefecture Master is indeed the Prefecture Master. You should know that my reputation as a disciple isn't too good. Up until now, I haven't even managed to teach a stage 4 world deity. There are definitely quite a few people who want to take Dongbu Shuiying as a disciple. Even if I'm willing to accept him, it's very likely that he'll end up becoming a disciple of some other powerful existence. That's why I'm hoping for the Prefecture Master to help me out. If he becomes my personal disciple, he'll be considered your disciple, right? At that time, I hope that Manor Lord will nod and give this little fellow the opportunity to enter your violet bamboo sea to cultivate." The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master looked at him. Forefather Fierce Tyrant gave a simple and honest smile. "No matter what, you are an almighty. How can you be so shameless?" The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master shook his head lightly. Forefather Fierce Tyrant was one of the 5 fierce beasts of the immortal world. Naturally, he was more tyrannical and ruthless than the average almighty existence. However, his temper was better than most almighty existences. "Manor Master, it's rare for me to see such a good disciple," Forefather Fierce Tyrant hastily said. "All right, I promise you." Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master nodded lightly. "Ah, thank you, Manor Lord. Thank you, Manor Lord." With Manor Lord's words, "I have confidence in this disciple." Forefather Fierce Tyrant was filled with anticipation. The Bamboo Mountain Manor Master said, "If His Majesty, the Overlord of Destruction or Pangyi were to ask, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to snatch this disciple. If they speak, then I have nothing to say." Forefather Fierce Tyrant said confidently, "Let's not talk about His Majesty. Even if it were an absolute transcendent with a grade 1 true meaning, His Majesty would be too lazy to accept him. Not to mention Big Brother Pangyi. Let him teach." Back then he had taken in 108 disciples in one go. Since then, after a long time, he had only taken in 2 disciples. It was very difficult for him to take in any more disciples. The Overlord of Destruction also hasn't accepted a disciple for many years. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master nodded. The 3 ancestors placed more importance on their own cultivation. The stronger they were, the less they cared about taking in disciples. After all, their own bodies were the foundation. Only occasionally when they met a junior they liked, would they be willing to give them a few pointers. For instance, the leader of the Fierce Five, Pang Yi, had once taken in 108 disciples in one go after comprehending a certain secret technique. Furthermore, he had taught them all seriously. Under normal circumstances, the chances of them taking in disciples were very low. On the contrary, ordinary powerful existences were more willing to take in disciples. The powerful existences were watching from afar. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was still going on intensely. The descent of the bloody slaughter deity warriors had increased the intensity of the battle. Some deity experts could easily die in the battle. After all, the bloody slaughter deity warriors were too frightening. 150, 120, 180. Amidst the mountain range, the number of deity experts remaining was decreasing rapidly. The reason for this decrease was due to the slaughter. The other reason was the rate at which venomous insects were being born. Venomous insects were already very powerful, and killing one was not an easy task. Those without the bloody slaughter deity warriors could easily lose their lives if they were surrounded by 2 or 3 venomous insects. However, it was different for those with the bloody slaughter deity warriors. The more venomous insects they produced, the faster they could kill. They could kill venomous insects in a single move. Other than the 7 with grade 1 deity hearts, there were a few others who were also quite dazzling. One of them was Dongbue Shuiying. Dongbue Shuiying's Mirage secret skill was truly heaven-defying to be able to summon 3 Mirage bodies. This was a supportive secret skill. In terms of offense, Dongbue Shuiying was originally somewhat lacking. His offensive power was even weaker than drunk guests. However, with the bloody slaughter deity warriors, Dongbue Shuiying's weakness in offense was immediately made up for. The Mirage bodies were also immortal. The Mirage bodies and the bloody slaughter deity warriors were a perfect match. Especially when the 3 Mirage bodies each held a blood-colored divine spear, making it hard for enemies to distinguish the real from the fake. Currently there are only 75 people still fighting in the mountain range and I'm currently ranked 11th. Dongbue Shuiying was in a relaxed mood. In other words, I'll definitely be able to enter the top 100. Dongbue Shuiying's expression suddenly changed. Suddenly, 3 figures appeared from the edge of the mountain range. All 3 of them were wielding the bloody slaughter deity warriors. It's the 3 of them? Dongbue Shuiying was very clear about the rankings of these 3 experts. They were ranked 9th, 15th, and 18th respectively. In terms of direct combat strength, any one of them was not any weaker than him. Logically speaking, the 3 of them would definitely be able to enter the top 100 as well. Why would they surround and attack him? Among the 3 of them, an ugly man wielding a blood-colored curved blade coldly said, "Calm Sea Prefecture's Dongbue, it's rare for a brat like you who has only cultivated for 2,000 years to have such strength. However, I'll let you know that you're still far from being able to kill me in a direct confrontation. You have 2 choices now. The first is to flee and be surrounded by us. The second is to fight me one-on-one. My 2 companions won't attack you for the time being." Chapter 474. White fog surrounded the mountain, and at the center of the 3 Dongbue Shuiyings, another Dongbue Shuiying appeared. The 4 of them looked at the ugly man wielding a blood-colored scimitar and softly said, "Wanjiu of the Milky Way Prefecture." "That's me." The corner of the ugly man's mouth curled up. Wanjiu was the champion of the Milky Way Prefecture ranking battle and survival battle among the 19 prefectures of the Bloodshed God Palace. "In a duel, regardless of who dies, my 2 companions will not act again," the ugly man said, his eyes filled with anticipation. His eyes were filled with anticipation. He was currently ranked 9th in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, and there were only 70 or so deities still alive. It was without a doubt that he would be ranked in the top 100, but there were only 23 powerful existences in the Bloodshed God Palace, including His Majesty and the 3 ancestors. Even if these powerful existences took the initiative to accept disciples, they would only take 8 to 10 of them. What about the others? As long as they were ranked in the top 100, even if they were not taken as disciples, His Majesty would order the powerful existences to assign 4 or 5 disciples to 5 or 6 of them. The deity experts who were assigned would usually not receive much attention from the powerful existences. They would only be taught a little, and only when the powerful existences truly liked them would they be more diligent in teaching them. Whether they were diligent or not, would make a huge difference. Thus, Wanjiu had long since decided that he would first secure a spot in the top 100, Then make himself as dazzling as possible so that the powerful existences would notice him. Thus he began to carry out his plan. First, he had successfully seized the bloody slaughter deity weapon, and his ranking was also at the top. He had even seized a second bloody slaughter deity weapon with his own strength and gifted it to a deity expert who was on par with him. He then instructed, "I'll give you the bloody slaughter deity weapon and help you get into the top 100. However, you'll have to listen to my commands in the Bloodshed God Palace battle." The other party did not have a deity weapon and was not confident of entering the top 100, so he naturally nodded. Thus, Wanjiu relied on this method to get 2 deity experts to follow him. These 2 were currently ranked 15th and 18th. Both were guaranteed to enter the top 100. I've relied on my own strength to help other deities enter the top 100. I'm afraid I've already attracted the attention of some powerful existences. Wanjiu was secretly looking forward to it. But this isn't enough. I still have to fight one-on-one and kill the God-tier expert who attracts the most attention from the Almighties. This way more Almighties will pay attention to me. Who was the most attractive to powerful beings? Wanjiu chose Dongbu Shuiying and said, "This Dongbu's strength is close to mine and he is too young. He has only cultivated for 2,000 years. In this Bloodshed God Palace battle, the degree to which he attracted the attention of powerful existences is probably one of the best. Moreover, I have confidence in dealing with him. He's the one." Therefore Wanjiu chose Dongbu Shuiying and surrounded Dongbu Shuiying with his 2 companions. The other 2 did not need to participate in the battle. After all, surrounding and killing Dongbu Shuiying would not reveal his true strength. The other 2 were there to intimidate Dongbu Shuiying, so that Dongbu Shuiying would not dare to run away. If he did, he would be surrounded and attacked. The 2 companions he chose were people whose strength was close to his own. It was just that they were unlucky and did not manage to obtain a bloody slaughter deity weapon. He felt that with the 3 of them surrounding Dongbu Shuiying would make a wise decision. One-on-one? The 4 Dongbu Shuiying looked at Wanjiu. "You and we will fight to the death?" "Yes." Wanjiu's eyes were cold. "As you wish," the 4 Dongbu Shuiying said at the same time. "Come." As expected of the Calm Sea Prefecture's Dongbu. What courage! Wanjiu was inwardly delighted. He was afraid that Dongbu Shuiying would run away. If that happened, the 3 of them would be able to surround and kill Dongbu Shuiying, but he could not reveal any of his abilities. Wanjiu stood in the distance. Suddenly his figure blurred and split into 2. 2 Wanjiu stood side by side, each holding a pair of blood-red curved blades. "Mirage Deity Heart?" Dongbu Shuiying said with a smile. "My mastery of the Mirage Deity Heart is not as good as yours, so I can only form a Mirage body." The 2 Wanjiu spoke at the same time. "But can you tell which one is the real one? Which one of these 4 curved blades is the real bloody slaughter deity weapon?" As soon as he finished speaking, the world around him began to distort as a formless energy filled the entire mountain. Whoosh, whoosh. The 2 Wanjiu charged at him at the same time. The 4 Shuiyings charged forward at the same time. It's just that under the unseen quagmire, their speed had slowed down. This Dongbu Shuiying is most proficient in Mirage secret techniques. Secondly, he has the Star Deity Heart and some other techniques, but in front of my domain his speed is greatly reduced. Even the 4 of them combined might not be able to defeat me. Wanjiu was brimming with confidence. The 2 of them began to fight. Everything went according to Wanjiu's wishes. Because Dongbu Shuiying had already attracted the attention of some powerful existences, their battle also attracted the attention of some powerful existences. Interesting, this Wanjiu can actually make the other 2 listen to his orders, and the other 2 are so obedient as well. Wanjiu previously gave the other 2 a bloody slaughter deity weapon each. He's quite good at robbing. He has a Mirage body and is proficient in domain-type secret techniques. His close combat skills are formidable as well. Other than the 7 grade 1 deity hearts, I'm afraid not many can defeat him. Wanjiu had indeed begun to cause some of the powerful existences to click their tongues in admiration. All of them understood what this Wanjiu was thinking. The only pity was that Wanjiu had already cultivated for 890,000 years. He had cultivated for quite a long time. Looks like Dongbu is in danger. This battle is uncertain. His only chance of victory is his 3 Mirage bodies. If he goes all out, he might be able to win. If he doesn't go all out, he will definitely lose. From the looks of it, even Dongbu and the other 3 combined might not be able to defeat him. The various deities of the Xia people were also anxious. High up in the sky, in the mountain range, Dongbo Shuiying and Wan Jiao were fighting. Although Dongbo Shuiying had 4 bodies including his true body, he was indeed at a disadvantage. Wan Jiao's 2 bodies were enough to suppress him. Wah! The saber light instantly sliced through everything. Wan Jiao's saber was extremely powerful. It was extremely fast. His defense was also watertight. His surroundings were like a swamp, causing Dongbo Shuiying's speed to be slightly slower than usual. Although he was slightly slower in a battle of this level, he was at a complete disadvantage. What a powerful saber technique! Dongbo Shuiying exclaimed in his heart, it's even more powerful than Drunk Guest. This Wan Jiao is indeed the #1 deity of the Tianhe prefecture. Wan Jiao. He was only a step away from grasping the complete world deity heart and creation deity heart. His attainments in the profound mysteries of the world and creation deity heart allowed him to create a perfect saber technique of his own. His saber technique was a world of its own, almost flawless. Moreover, the profound mysteries of creation also made his saber technique extremely powerful. Furthermore, he had created his own domain-type secret technique, which already had the taste of a world. Domain-type secret technique, suppression. His true body and mirage bodies working together. A near-perfect saber technique for close combat. Clang clang clang. Although Dongbo Shuiying and the other 3 joined forces, it was still difficult for them to break through the defense of Wan Jiao's saber technique. Your only chance of victory is to rely on your 4 bodies to fight. 3 of the bodies are not afraid of any damage, but if you go all out, a flaw will appear in your defense and I might be able to kill your main body. Wan Jiao's voice directly penetrated the mind of every Dongbo Shuiying. His cold eyes were filled with passion. He was purposely trying to tempt Dongbo Shuiying. The saber technique displayed by his arc-shaped saber was like a beautiful sphere that formed a world of its own. It was almost flawless. Let's go all out. The 4 Dongbo Shuiying became even more frenzied. Yes, yes, yes. Come, come, come. Wan Jiao did not stop talking. The entire battle was under his control. Dongbo Shuiying disregarded his defense and counterattacked. Although the mirage bodies did not care about being slashed, the terrifying might of the arc-shaped saber still forced the mirage bodies to retreat. This made it easier for Wan Jiao to attack Dongbo Shuiying's true body. Star. Chapter 475. Boom boom boom, both of them fought even more ferociously. Dongbo Shuiying occasionally managed to stab Wan Jiao with his spear, but those were only his mirage bodies. Clearly Wan Jiao had purposely allowed Dongbo Shuiying to stab him. Pooh! The spear was like a venomous snake, retracting after a stab. The 2 Wan Jiao clones stopped immediately and one of them dissipated. Only Wan Jiao was left standing in midair. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he stared at Dongbo Shuiying. How could you? Your saber art is not perfect enough, right? My luck is better than yours, Dongbo Shuiying said. Wan Jiao's eyes were filled with unwillingness. Not perfect enough? Better luck? That's right. After all, he had yet to grasp the true world deity heart. Although his saber art was said to be a world of its own, it had yet to reach this stage. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Wan Jiao was frustrated. If he could defeat Dongbo Shuiying one-on-one, that would be the best outcome. Although he would attract the attention of some powerful beings, this battle was probably just a stepping stone for Dongbo Shuiying. Then Wan Jiao's body dissipated. His consciousness returned to him. When the other 2 companions saw this scene, they shook their heads inwardly. Brother Wan Jiao thought that he could win. Unfortunately, he almost lost. Dongbo Shuiying's 4 bodies gave it his all, and he finally had a chance to win. The 2 companions left immediately. They were only here to abide by the oath. Dongbo Shuiying shook his head and smiled as he watched the 2 leave. This Wan Jiao is really powerful. But he doesn't know that I have already grasped the complete world deity heart, and have created many secret skills based on the world deity heart. My understanding of the world deity heart is many times more profound than his. Shuiying sighed inwardly. I can see through the flaws of his so-called world of blade technique with a single glance. It's just that I've always been looking for an opportunity, a reasonable opportunity to break this blade technique. Shuiying sighed inwardly. Let the mirage body go all out and attack head-on to destroy the opponent's saber technique. Then when there's an opportunity, stab with your spear. The Lord of White Sand City raised his head to look at the illusionary image of the majestic mountains in the sky. We really won. Dongbo Shuiying might have discovered some flaws in his opponent's saber technique during the life-and-death battle. If you can win, you will be able to prove your strength. The Ink Cloud City Lord praised. Dongbua Shuiying would not admit defeat so easily. Wang Jiao wanted to shine even brighter. He wanted a powerful being to take him in as a disciple. Dongbua Shuiying also had his own goals. He wanted His Majesty or the third ancestor to accept him as a disciple. Naturally, he could not be defeated so easily. Dongbua Shuiying walked through the mountain range. With a single step, he activated extreme travel and killed a venomous bug. With each kill, Dongbua Shuiying's ranking rose. He even rose to the 9th rank, and occasionally he would even reach the 8th rank. However, the other surviving deity experts were also very powerful. Even so, Dongbua Shuiying was still hovering around the 8th to 10th rank. The number of deity experts in the mountain range decreased. 60, 50, Dongbua Shuiying's expression changed. This was because he could sense a figure stealthily sneaking past the barrier of the distant mountain. Even though he had turned his line of sight, Shuiying could still clearly see the other party's appearance with his mirage domain. White robes, white hair and fluttering white eyebrows, it was Jiao. It's you again. Without hesitation, Dongbua Shuiying switched to his mirage body and fled. Suppress. Shatter. As Jiao chased after him, he also used his domain-type technique. But the time immemorial body's survivability was too powerful. Even though it was only at the 3rd level, it was not something Jiao could crush to death with a single domain-type technique. So. Dongbua Shuiying frantically fled. He had never thought of displaying his grade 1 deity heart in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. The moment he did so, the enemy of his master, Sacred Master Crimson Dust, would likely disregard his reputation and attack him. After all, grasping a grade 1 deity heart in just 2,300 years, this was the talent of a grade 1 true meaning transcendent. Thus he would rather die than expose himself. By the time he became a stage 2 world deity, there wouldn't be much of a problem. At that time, only Blood Blade, the Temporal Island Lord, and a few others could kill him without the help of an oath. Existences at such a level would disdain to act. By the time he became a stage 3 world deity, even God Emperor and the others wouldn't be able to kill a lord of a material world. Thus he needed to be patient. Only with sufficient patience would he be able to shine brilliantly in the future. Jiao, is there really a need for you to chase after me like this? Dongbua Shuiying was speechless. He continued to pass through mountain after mountain. Shua. Just as he passed through the barrier of a mountain, a white-haired fat old man appeared. Shio. A dazzling ray of light streaked across Dongbua Shuiying's body. This is a grade 1 deity heart. Dongbua Shuiying's eyes widened as he stared at the white-haired fat old man. This fat old man was the champion of the 9 rigid manners ranking battle, Monarch Yu. It was said that his original title was Emperor Yu, but in the deity world, those who dared to call themselves emperors were all extraordinary existences. Thus he immediately changed his title to Monarch Yu. Monarch was more reserved than emperors. I haven't been in a rush to use it, but now it's time to do so. I've chosen you, Dongbua. The fat old man smiled. Clearly, if he wanted to kill someone, he would kill the one who attracted the attention of the powerful existences the most. Dongbua Shuiying's body dissipated, and his consciousness returned. South Jiao chased after him. Looking at the fat old man, he sneered, I really didn't expect you to also have a grade 1 deity heart. If not for Dongbua, you would have probably been hiding your strength in the Kamsi prefecture. With a flip of his hand, the fat old man took out a blood-colored dagger and smiled sinisterly. How about it? Why don't we have a spar? Then let's see how strong you are. Jiaoxi's eyes were filled with killing intent. Dongbua Shuiying's consciousness returned. By the time he returned to the outermost region of the myriad flower feast, almost all of the 1,000+ deities had returned. Only 30 or so deities were still fighting. Brother Dongbua, I didn't expect that you would actually be ambushed by someone with a grade 1 deity heart. 7th Mei Yu, who was standing not too far away, laughed. That's right. That Lord Yu is truly sinister. He should have long since discovered that Jiao was chasing after me, so he waited for a long time, and ambushed me the moment I passed through the mountain barrier. Dongbua Shuiying shook his head helplessly. He was too young, and he had attracted the attention of many powerful existences. Many of them wanted to kill him in order to attract their attention. They had only exchanged a few words. Because they were both from the Kamsi prefecture, Jiao, who was seated very close to him, also regained consciousness. Jiao, you actually lost? Dongbua Shuiying intentionally said. Jiaoxi's face turned ashen. He had fought against Lord Yu one-on-one, and yet he had lost. He had a boundless deity heart, so logically speaking the chances of him losing should be very low. However, in a battle he still had to use it. What a sinister old man. Jianghu fiercely glared at the deity experts still fighting amidst the mountain range. Lord Yu was one of them. Suddenly, a world deity guard of the Bloodshed God Palace walked over from afar, immediately attracting the attention of a large group of deity experts. This was because a world deity guard walking over at this moment would usually come to present a token. A powerful existence would take the initiative to bestow a token to a deity expert, and it represented that the powerful existence was willing to accept a disciple. This was taking the initiative to accept a disciple, which was extremely rare. The number of myriad flower feasts that could make a powerful existence take the initiative to accept a disciple could be counted on one's fingers. Who's it for? He's walking over here towards me. Many deity experts were nervously watching. They were all longing for a disciple, and even those ranked outside the top 100 were longing for one. After all, even if one was ranked near the bottom, if a powerful existence took the initiative to accept a disciple, one would still be able to become a disciple. Take Dongbua Shuiying for example. He had only cultivated for 2,000 years, and the White Sand City Lord and the others had already said that as long as one participated in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, even if one wasn't ranked within the top 100, one would definitely be chosen as a disciple. Dongbua. The dark-skinned world deity guard smiled and handed a golden token to Dongbua Shuiying. Chapter 477. The world deity guard handed over the command token and left, leaving the other 1,000 or so deities watching helplessly. Becoming a disciple of a powerful existence? That was difficult. Even if one could participate in the Bloodshed God Palace battle and become a Stage 1 world deity in the future, even powerful existences would look down on such a person. The powerful existences of the Bloodshed God Palace would be assigned a few disciples each time they participated in the Myriad Flower Feast. These disciples were not actively accepted as disciples, and the disciples they were assigned to would not be too serious about teaching them. They would just casually give them a few pointers, 2 or 3 world deity ranked secret techniques, 1 or 2 treasures, and that would be it. Even so, the majority of deities could not hope for such a thing. That was why Sacred Master Crimson Dust was willing to open the doors to countless deities and demigods to challenge Crimson Rock Mountain. After passing the trials, they would become honorary disciples and obtain world deity ranked secret techniques. This was definitely a very benevolent act. Brother Dongbua, congratulations, 7th Mayu said from the side. However, there was a hidden desire in his eyes. He too wanted to receive the command token. His luck had been bad, and he had not even entered the top 100. Humph. The other Jianghu snorted coldly. Dongbua Shuiying looked at Jianghu and inwardly muttered, "This cultivation strength has nothing to do with one's personality. This narrow-minded person who seeks revenge for the smallest grievance has actually cultivated the boundless deity heart." Cultivation was about comprehending the laws of the world. The laws of the world were dark, cruel, and destructive. Perhaps those with evil personalities were more suited to comprehend them? 1. Dongbua Shuiying held the golden command token and sent his consciousness into it. He immediately received a message, "I, Guzong, am willing to accept you as my personal disciple." That was the message. Dongbua Shuiying let out a sigh of relief inwardly. At least there was a powerful existence willing to accept him as a personal disciple. Dongbua, who is it? 7th Mayu asked curiously. It's the powerful existence Guzong, Dongbua Shuiying replied. Monarch Guzong? He is the most beloved disciple of His Majesty God Emperor. 7th Mayu exclaimed, Monarch Guzong is the most low-profile powerful existence within the Bloodshed God Palace. However, he is one of the 2 disciples of His Majesty, and His Majesty will naturally focus on grooming him. According to what my father said, the few times he has acted, he is extremely formidable. His combat power is hard to fathom, and he might even be close to the 3 ancestors. Dongbua Shuiying nodded. Monarch Guzong was the personal disciple of His Majesty Bloodblade. However, Monarch Guzong had a problem. He was too low-key. He had been described by 7th Mayu as the most low-profile member of the Bloodshed God Palace, and it was no exaggeration. Ever since he had become a powerful existence, he had become even more low-profile, and had never left the territory of the Bloodshed God Palace. He had practically been cultivating in his territory all this time. Monarch Guzong has become a powerful existence for more than 100 billion years. Occasionally he would appear within the territory of the Bloodshed God Palace. Most of the time, he would remain in his territory cultivating. Dongbua Shuiying mumbled inwardly, is it appropriate for him to choose such a teacher? Many deities were eliminated in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. As the number of remaining deities decreased, the number of venomous insects that were born rapidly increased. Currently, 8 to 10 venomous insects would move together, and occasionally dozens of them would move together. Even with bloody slaughter deity weapons, it was easy for them to lose their lives. Very soon, only 5 deities with Grade 1 deity hearts were left. Those with Grade 1 deity hearts would also fight and eliminate each other. This was because the number of people remaining was decreasing. The powerful existences were also gradually giving out command talismans. Dongbua's Bloodshed God Palace battle has ended. I've heard that the powerful existences will take the initiative to accept disciples. I wonder who Dongbua will take as his disciple, the Purple Thunder Emperor said amidst the many deities of the Xia people. Regardless of who it is, it will be a disciple of a powerful existence, the slightly dispirited Scarlet Flame Emperor said. Powerful existences are different from other powerful existences. Can ordinary powerful existences compare to His Majesty? The Dragon Mountain Emperor said expectantly. In my opinion, His Majesty might take Dongbua as his disciple. His Majesty is the strongest expert in the deity world. Even those 2 from the Temporal Island and the Pantheon Palace are slightly weaker than His Majesty. This is publicly acknowledged. At His Majesty's level of invincibility, would he still care about teaching a disciple? Yunhai shook his head. If His Majesty takes in a disciple, then it's luck. If he doesn't, then it's normal. Let's just hope that some other powerful existence will take Dongbua as a disciple. Jing Qiu also raised her head and watched silently. Her lips curled into a smile. In this Bloodshed God Palace battle, Dongbua was already very outstanding and dazzling. Even though his ranking had fallen out of the top 10, his years of cultivation made him even more attractive to powerful existences than those with Grade 1 deity hearts. There are only a few people with Grade 1 deity hearts left in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Dongbua's final ranking is 11th. The White Sand City Lord smiled as he stroked his beard. 8 of them have grasped Grade 1 deity hearts. This ranking is already very good. TSK, I wonder who Dongbua will take as his disciple this time. It would be great if he could become the disciple of one of the 3 ancestors. The Ink Cloud City Lord, Marshal Qin and King Rong Hai, who were drinking with them, all smiled as they looked at the majestic main palace in the distance. 3 ancestors? That's hard to say, the Ink Cloud City Lord said. With Pang Yi's personality, it's hard for him to take in disciples. The Overlord of Destruction has a long lifespan, and he has 5 powerful existences among his disciples. He is also too lazy to take in disciples. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master has a proud and aloof personality, so he rarely takes in disciples, Marshal Qin commented. King Ronghai laughed. At the level of the 3 ancestors, how many of them would still care about taking in disciples? The stronger one was, the more they would not care about taking in disciples. If they were in a good mood, they would accept disciples. But if they were in a bad mood? Even if you were a Grade 1 True Meaning Transcendent, I would still be too lazy to accept you. So what if you were a Grade 1 True Meaning Transcendent? There was a high probability of becoming a Stage 4 world deity. Let alone a Stage 4 world deity, even if one was extremely lucky and had a small probability of becoming a powerful existence, the 3 ancestors wouldn't care too much about it. So what if they had another powerful existence as their disciple? They placed more importance on their own combat power, as improving their own combat power would be more helpful than teaching a powerful existence as a disciple. I've heard from some of my old brothers that 3 powerful existences have already bestowed command tokens to Dongbua. The White Sand City Lord was quite pleased with himself. At the highest point of the Bloodshed God Palace, the Myriad Flower Feast was still ongoing. As the Bloodshed God Palace battle neared its end, aside from a large number of venomous insects, there were even venomous insects comparable to Stage 1 world deities. The 5 remaining deities who had grasped Grade 1 deity hearts had also died in battle. And now, powerful existences were bestowing command tokens one after another. Dongbua Shuiying was still quite popular among powerful existences, and he had already received 3 command tokens. 7th Mei Yu. A world deity guard walked to 7th Meiyu's side under the fiery gazes of the 1,900 deities and handed him a command token. Mine? 7th Meiyu could not believe it. She had cultivated for only a short period of 80,000 years. However, she could only be considered relatively young in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Her ranking during the battle was only 159th. Even though she was relatively close to the top, she had still awkwardly failed to enter the top 100. Including Dongbua, there were only a total of 6 deities who had received a command token. 7th Meiyu himself could not believe that he had actually been bestowed a command token. The world deity guard left after handing over the command token. 7th Meiyu could not hide his excitement as he began to investigate the news. His father, Monarch Emo Shui, had hoped for him to become a disciple of a powerful existence, and now it had actually come true? Brother Meiyu, congratulations, Dongbua Shuang transmitted. 7th Meiyu was truly pleasantly surprised. He looked at Dongbua Shuang beside him, his eyes filled with joy as he transmitted back, "It's the powerful existence, Monarch Mother Whirlpool." Formidable. Dongbua Shuang praised. Monarch Mother Whirlpool was a female. Her sister, the mysterious North Imperial Empress, was comparable to the 3 ancestors, and was famous for being overbearing and ruthless. Their most famous battle was during the treasure hunt on the Moon Star, where the mysterious North Imperial Empress had once fought against 9 powerful existences in a fit of rage. The 9 powerful existences were brimming with confidence even after working together, but who would have thought that the mysterious North Imperial Empress had comprehended a killing technique that made her least afraid of being surrounded. The moment she unleashed it, she killed 3 powerful existences and forced the other 6 to flee in panic. From then on, the mysterious North Imperial Empress became famous, and nobody dared to provoke her. Like the majority of powerful existences, the mysterious North Imperial Empress was free and unfettered. She had not pledged allegiance to the Bloodshed God Palace, Myriad God Palace, or the Temporal Island. Furthermore, Monarch Mother Whirlpool and the mysterious North Imperial Empress were blood-related sisters, and their relationship was extremely deep. Whoever dared to provoke her sister would definitely be killed by the mysterious North Imperial Empress. This Monarch Mother Whirlpool was similarly protective of her own, and all her disciples were female, taking her as a teacher. Normally, powerful existences would not care about their disciples fighting and killing outside. If they died, they could only blame themselves for being too weak. After all, without experiencing true life and death tempering, how could their disciples grow? And there were a few powerful existences who were very protective of their disciples. My disciple can bully others. Others can bully my disciple, but that's not allowed. Seated not too far away from Dongbua Shuang and 7th Meiyu, Jiushi could not help but feel even more resentful when he saw the 2 of them receiving a command token. He was a deity expert who grasped hold of a grade 1 deity heart, yet no powerful existences had bestowed him with a command token. Star. Chapter 478. Dongbua 7th Meiyu? Why didn't she accept me as a disciple? Jiushi felt even more resentful and unreconciled. At this time, 7th Meiyu transmitted a message to Dongbua Shuang. "Brother Dongbua, I'm ashamed that I never told you that I'm actually disguised as a male." Aha, no wonder. Monarch Mother Whirlpool has always accepted female disciples, so why would she accept a male this time? Dongbua Shuang transmitted with a smile. Furthermore, I was curious when I found out that your father was Monarch Emo Shui. I've long heard that Monarch Emo Shui has 6 daughters, so I'm curious if the 7th has become a son. 7th Meiyu laughed. She was also very happy. Actually, from the bottom of her heart, she would rather have a powerful existence who specialized in teaching and was stricter. A teacher who was too protective would instead have a negative impact on one's cultivation. After all, when others heard that you were a disciple of Monarch Mother Whirlpool, they would immediately keep their distance and not offend you. This would indeed save her a lot of trouble, but at the same time she would lose a lot of experience. However, from the perspective of a daughter, her father, Monarch Emo Shui, would not be able to hold on for long. He would most likely have to seal his memories and choose to reincarnate. The chances of him awakening after reincarnating would be very low, and her father's enemies would most likely take revenge. Having a teacher who was protective of her was a good thing to her and her sisters. She transmitted a message to her father, and Monarch Emo Shui was overjoyed when he found out. What he wanted the most was for his daughter to become a disciple of a powerful existence who would protect her. However, there were only a few who would protect her, and there were only two in the Bloodshed God Palace who were the most protective. One was Monarch Mother Whirlpool, and the other was Forefather Fierce Tyrant. Forefather Fierce Tyrant was the Mount of Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, and also Pang Yi's brother. Furthermore, the Fierce Five of the deity world were very united. After all, there were only 5 powerful existences in the deity world, and whoever dared to bully one of them, the other 4 would not let it go. After all, their backing was very strong. That was why they had the qualifications to protect their own. Jianghu. A world deity guard passed the command token to Jianghu under the gaze of 1,900 deity experts. Jianghu could not hide her excitement as she accepted the call. He glanced at Dong Bo Drunk Guest, 7th Meiyu, and a few other deity experts from the Kamsi prefecture, then began to sense the tokens in a rather pleased manner. After sensing it, Jianghu looked at Drunk Guest and said politely, "Yu Gong is willing to accept me as a disciple." Jianghu greets senior apprentice brother. Yu Gong accepted him as a disciple, which meant that he was an inner disciple. On the other hand, Drunk Guest was a personal disciple. This news had already spread before the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Drunk Guest frowned slightly and responded. He did not have a good impression of Jianghu. In the future, if senior apprentice brother has any requests, feel free to let me know. Jianghu will definitely do her best to complete them. Jianghu sent a sound transmission to Drunk Guest. Dongbo Shuang watched on in astonishment. Previously, Jianghu had been extremely arrogant and tyrannical, but now he was acting so flattering in front of Drunk Guest. Although the two of them were using sound transmissions and Dongbo Shuang had no idea what they were talking about, he could tell that Jianghu was incomparably polite and submissive, while Drunk Guest was treating him normally, without any of the disgust he had shown at the start. Arrogant and submissive just because you say so? This Jianghu, his attitude changes really quickly. Dongbo Shuang was somewhat impressed by Jianghu's shamelessness. Dongbo. Yet another world deity guard delivered a command token. Dongbo took the black command token. A moment later, yet another token was delivered. This made many of the deities watching this scene feel envious and jealous. They had begged for a single command token, yet Dongbo Shuang had received a total of 5. One had to know how many powerful existences there were in the Bloodshed God Palace. There were already 5 who had taken the initiative to accept him as a disciple. Dongbo Shuang picked up the final silver-white command token and sensed it. "I, Fierce Tyrant. Dongbo Shuang, I am willing to accept you as my personal disciple. I, Fierce Tyrant, might not be too good at teaching disciples, but I am not bad either. Gutsong wants to accept you as a disciple? That Gutsong has always been cultivating alone, and is extremely poor. He doesn't have any good treasures to give you. That old man Cave Swan wants to accept you as a disciple? He doesn't have any backing and instead has enemies. It's because of those enemies that he decided to rely on the Bloodshed God Palace. Monarch Jianghu? He's too inflexible, and you will definitely suffer if you accept him as your teacher. Left Palace Head? He's too eccentric and doesn't have many friends. He doesn't treat his disciples well. It's best if you become my disciple. I, Fierce Tyrant, will absolutely not let anyone bully my disciple. When the time comes, I will give you a precious treasure. Tiske, I've refined this treasure for many years, and I feel that you are very suitable for it. Furthermore, I've already told the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master that you can go to his Violet Bamboo Sea to cultivate. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master's Violet Bamboo Sea. All the inner disciples under him have to go through a trial before they have the chance to enter. You don't need to go through the trial to enter. This is my face. Rest assured, I, Fierce Tyrant, will definitely treat my disciples with care. Come, become my disciple. You will be the first stage 4 world deity disciple under me, Fierce Tyrant. In the future, you will even become a powerful existence. Dongbo Shuang could not help but be dumbstruck as he sensed the message. He had received a total of 5 command tokens. The other 4 powerful existences were very straightforward. They only said 1 or 2 simple sentences, such as I, Jianghu, am willing to accept you as my personal disciple. Everyone was the same. After all, powerful existences had their own pride. They liked this disciple, but that did not mean they would coax him. Some powerful existences would even be very strict when teaching their disciples. When their disciples went out to experience all sorts of life and death situations, they would be too lazy to act. If they died, they could only blame themselves for not being strong enough. The majority of powerful existences were like this. This way they would be able to train formidable experts. For example, Forefather Fierce Tyrant, the command token he bestowed contained a whole pile of information. He had even viciously belittled the other four. Monarch Guzong? Because he was too low profile and did not go out to fight for treasures, it was not wrong to say that he was poor. But his teacher was the Blood Blade. Forefather Cave Swan? Indeed, he had joined the Bloodshed God Palace because he had an enemy, but Forefather Cave Swan was still very good at teaching disciples. Monarch Chenju? He was indeed inflexible, but Monarch Chenju was placed in an important position by the Blood Blade. Many matters within the Bloodshed God Palace were handled by Monarch Chenju and the other two monarchs. Left Palace Head? He was aloof, cold and arrogant. He had high requirements for his disciples, but he was also very good at teaching disciples. Each of them had their own merits. Fierce Tyrant fiercely belittled the other four, then took out many benefits to entice Donghua. No matter what, Forefather Fierce Tyrant is indeed famous for being protective of his disciples. I can feel the love he has for them from this command token. Donghua Shuang thought, his only flaw is that he isn't good at teaching disciples. Just these 5? Donghua Shuang was still waiting. He did not make a decision because he desired the 3 ancestors more. His Majesty God Emperor did not dare to have such extravagant hopes, but it would be great if one of the 3 could accept him as a disciple. Time passed. Gradually, there were no more powerful existences bestowing command tokens. There were a total of 8 deity experts who received command tokens. Donghua Shuang was one of them and he received 5 command tokens. During the Myriad Flower Feast, Huiming and Chihua Laozu were also observing. Those who bestowed command tokens to junior disciple brother are Monarch Guzong, Forefather Cave Swan, Monarch Chenju, Left Palace Head and Forefather Fierce Tyrant. There are no 3 ancestors. Huiming frowned slightly. There seems to be no movement from the 3 ancestors? Chihua Laozu shook his head inwardly. It was not just them. During the Myriad Flower Feast, the other powerful existences were also paying attention to the powerful existences from the Bloodshed God Palace accepting disciples. Bamboo Mountain, you don't plan on accepting disciples? The ruler of the Dark Abyss, who was extremely close to Blood Blade and had a towering figure and bloodthirsty eyes, asked. Being one of the supreme rulers of the Dark Abyss, his status was similar to Blood Blade's. He did not have many good friends in the entire deity world and Dark Abyss, and Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was one of them. The two had a deep friendship. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was relatively handsome. His eyes were long and narrow and his gaze was like a blade. There was a crack faintly glowing in gold between his eyebrows. He chuckled, Big Brother Nile, I've been bitterly cultivating without being able to take that step. How could I have the mood to teach disciples? Seated at the highest position, the crimson-robed Blood Blade had a deep gaze as he looked down at the cold and arrogant male Pangyi of the 3 ancestors. He was the head of the fierce 5 of the deity world, and his sharpness was something even his Majesty God Emperor could not conceal. Pangyi's reputation was huge. In the distant past, when powerful existences were still rare in the deity world, Pangyi was the most famous and terrifying deity world lifeform. He had killed countless people, and his ruthless name had spread throughout the deity world and Dark Abyss. Now that so many years had passed, Pangyi was already very restrained. My teacher doesn't plan on accepting disciples, and neither does Bamboo Mountain. Pangyi, you don't plan on accepting disciples either? Blood Blade looked down with a smile. My cultivation technique has yet to be perfected, and I don't wish to be distracted. Pangyi nodded. Blood Blade nodded lightly. Hearing the conversation between God Emperor and one of the 3 ancestors, Pangyi, the other powerful existences understood. In the distance, Chihua Laozu and Huiming were slightly disappointed. It seemed, the 3 ancestors were not going to accept disciples this time. However, this was normal. At the level of the 3 ancestors, it was rare for them to be willing to accept disciples. Come. Blood Blade suddenly spoke. At that moment, a world deity guard hurried over and respectfully awaited orders. Blood Blade flipped his hand and a blood-colored command token appeared in it. Star. Chapter 479. At the same time, the powerful existences and Stage 4 world deities at the scene noticed the token that appeared in the Bloodshed God Emperor's hand. Even though they were chatting and laughing previously, with their acute senses, they noticed it at the first moment. Blood Blade, are you going to accept a disciple? A graceful and luxurious woman seated on a throne of a similar height to the bloodshed god emperor asked with interest. How rare, how rare. It's been a long time since Brother Bloodshed accepted a disciple, right? Even grade 1 true meaning transcendence with extremely high talents. Brother Bloodshed rarely takes the initiative to accept a disciple. This time he actually bestowed a command token to that disciple. I wonder which brat will be so lucky, the towering abyss ruler said. In the entire deity world and dark abyss, there weren't many who dared to directly address Bloodblade as Bloodblade. Even the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master and Pang Yi had to respectfully address him as Your Majesty. As for those free and unfettered powerful existences like the famous mysterious North Imperial Empress, they had to respectfully address him as Your Majesty, in front of God Emperor. Bloodblade, he was, after all, the publicly acknowledged strongest expert in the deity world. His influence in the Dark Abyss was immense, and 2 of the 3 rulers of the Dark Abyss had come to participate in this myriad flower feast. Go. Bloodblade handed the command token to the World Deity Guard beside him. Yes. The World Deity Guard respectfully took the command token and left. Everyone at the myriad flower feast was curious as to who it was that attracted Bloodblade to accept a disciple. Bloodblade looked down and chuckled but did not elaborate. A detailed report appeared in his mind, one of the reports regarding the deities participating in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Dongbo Ying, born in the material world of the Xia people. At the age of 8, he and his younger brother depended on each other for survival. His 2 uncles took care of him. The report was extremely detailed, from Dongbo Ying's birth to his final participation in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Even his battle with Xiang Pangyun, his fall into the Black Wind Abyss, and many other details were recorded. This brat is truly blessed to be able to stay together with his wife. Bloodblade thought. Talent and potential were just one aspect, but Dongbo Ying's past had touched his heart, which was why he had decided to accept him as a disciple. This was how God Emperor had accepted disciples. Once one became interested, they would accept a disciple. Otherwise, even a grade 1 true meaning blade would not even spare them a glance. Bloodshed God Emperor's gaze was distant, though his thoughts were drifting. A long time ago, when he was not even a transcendent yet, he had not even reached transcendent yet, he transcendent, he deity saint. His cultivation heart was incomparably firm. For the sake of cultivation, he left his true love and embarked on the lonely path of cultivation. He experienced many hardships and suffered many hardships before he was accepted into a sect. When he finally became a transcendent, he went through many trials and wasted 100 years. When he finally left the sect, he returned, but at that time his wife was already old and frail. Blade, he wife who, not even transcendent, his wife who to search for treasure. Of course, a long time later, Bloodblade had unimaginable power and resurrected his wife. Even if his wife's cultivation was weak, she could not even become a transcendent by herself. Bloodblade did not hesitate to let his wife become a stage 1 world deity. Unfortunately, her spirit was not strong enough. She had been a stage 1 world deity for more than 5 billion years, but her true deity heart still collapsed. Because her realm was too low, she could not even seal her memories to reincarnate. Those who could seal their memories to reincarnate were usually stage 3 or 4 world deities. When one's true deity heart collapsed, there was no way to resurrect them. Even if one were to resurrect from the river of time, they would still have all their previous memories, and their true deity heart would collapse once more. Of course, during the long years of his wife's life, Bloodblade had accompanied her and experienced everything. I wonder who His Majesty has accepted as a disciple. We'll know once we see. As Bloodblade was recalling his deepest emotions, the other powerful existences and stage 4 world deities were paying attention to that world deity guard. The world deity guard had already walked to the outermost perimeter of the myriad flower feast, where the 1,900 deities were gathered. Another world deity guard has arrived. He's giving out a command token. I wonder who it's for. We're ranked towards the back and we've cultivated for so long. I'm afraid our chances are slim. All of the 1,000 plus deities were looking forward to it, even though their rationality told them that their chances were slim. Even so, they still hoped for a miracle. The world deity guard walked toward the deities of the Calm Sea Prefecture. Will it be me? Jioshi's eyes brightened as he looked at the incoming world deity guard. He's coming here again? Drunk Guest was also surprised. Dongbo Shuang, 7th Meiyu and Jioshi. This time, there were a total of 3 people from the Calm Sea Prefecture who had received command tokens. This was a very high ratio. He's going over to Dongbua's side. Dongbua has already received 5 command tokens. Could it be for him again? Who asked him to cultivate for such a short period of time? He's only cultivated for 2,300 years. On top of that, he's very powerful. So what if he's cultivated for a short period of time? He might even be stuck at a bottleneck for tens of thousands of years. Seeing the world deity guard walk in that direction, many of the deities who knew that they had no hope of obtaining a command token lost their composure. Even they could not obtain a command token, but Dongbua of the Calm Sea Prefecture had already received 5. Jiushi watched expectantly. Although Yu Gong accepted me as a disciple, I'm only an inner disciple. If a powerful existence were to accept me as a personal disciple, I would naturally choose a better one. An inner disciple. Drunk guest might be younger than me, but his strength can't compare to mine. Yet he still managed to become a personal disciple. I've cultivated the extremely rare boundless deity heart, and it's entirely possible for me to become a personal disciple of a powerful existence. Jiushi raised his head. The world deity guard walked past him, quickly arriving at Dongbua Shui Ying's side. The world deity guard came to a halt. Dongbo. The world deity guard revealed a smile towards Shui Ying. It was a smile filled with profound meaning. Congratulations. As he spoke, he took out a blood-colored command token. It really is him. It's Dongbua again. He already has 5 command tokens. What's the point of another one? In the end, he could only become the disciple of a powerful existence. Yet he gave them so many command tokens while we don't even have a single one. Sigh truly. Many of the deities were disappointed. Although they had guessed that the world deity guard was heading in the direction of Dongbua Shui Ying, the result was still disappointing. If the deity experts were to be described as disappointed, then the stage 4 world deities and powerful existences of the myriad flower feast were all astonished. Some of them were even discussing this matter. His Majesty actually chose Dongbua? The Calm Sea Prefecture Master watched as the world deity guard passed the command token to Dongbua Shui Ying. He could not help but sigh in shock. Little disciple brother has become the disciple of God Emperor. Huiming smiled. His smile was filled with joy. Not bad, not bad. Chihua Laozu nodded with a smile. At this moment, Dongbua Shui Ying was relatively calm. He had already received 5 command tokens and this was just one more. I hope it's the 3rd ancestor. I hope it's the 3rd ancestor. I hope it's the 3rd ancestor. Dongbua Shui Ying's heart was filled with hope as he took the blood-colored command token. Within the Bloodshed God Palace, scarlet or blood tokens were commonly used. He did not notice anything special about this command token. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.